everyone. Hope everything is going well. Today is going to be a crazy live stream on a Saturday night. We have a bunch of people. Splenda Sports, hashtag offended. What's going on? Is that your new pronoun?
Yeah, I identify as offended today, fellas.
All righty.
Watch your words.
We got LT Positively Rules. Oh,
What's up, gents? It's a pleasure to be here with you guys tonight.
Ziggy, what up, Ziggy?
Good evening. Good evening. No sponsor.
Hobby, what's going on, man?
What up, gentlemen? How are we doing tonight on this fine Saturday?
All right. Let's look at a few comments. Randy says, "Hanky Panky time, Hall of Fame guest tonight. Wish C Bloods was here. He needs to have Merce off with Santiago." Ryan McClanahan, hey everyone. All righty. So nothing scripted here, and I really don't know how we're going to start off. But so LT, you were at a show today, right? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So what happened? What did you see today based on your observations?
Well, there's things. All my good friends here. Once again, I love all you guys, and it's a pleasure to speak to you guys tonight. There's things that I know. I know a lot of things in my areas. You guys know I'm in the LA Orange County area, and saw a couple of my buddies locally, and of course, I saw Sasha earlier, big good friend of mine. I learned a lot of stuff. I learned a lot of things in there, which we can later go on discussions as if I want to advertise. On a positive note on my pronoun, I will say that in the card show in the area, it was nice. It was just a smaller one. Basically, there was some drama prior to, and of course, if you're in that area, you'll hear some stuff. I don't want to mention names, but there's a little riff. Basically, it was almost like a territorial thing. You think people are cool with each other, and then they're like, "No, this is the only card show in OC type stuff," and it was a little silly. There was actually people were talking about that kind of beef over there. So I knew a couple of my buddies over there and just kind of asking about that. But for the most part, a lot of people, I saw some good things with people bringing their kids. I saw deals go, and I was seeing a good movement. And basically, it was an Old Fries location, and it was just a small back portion. So there's about, I want to say like maybe 10, 12 tables, and it went pretty well from what I saw. I have my kid with me, so I couldn't stay too long because the picture of a 5-year-old gets you moving. But was there anything else, Raul, that you wanted me to address on that? Were you just asking out of curiosity?
Asking out of curiosity.
Yeah, and just like I was telling Hobby and Splenda earlier, and Ziggs, I'm telling you now, everything starts with the card shows, and that's the thing. I know Ziggs has hit that pretty hard. I've talked to Splenda about that, and of course Hobby, and of course Yoru. It's the backbone of the card hobby. I mean, with your guys' experience, where you guys have tons more than me, everything starts there, where people are doing deals, building that camaraderie, and a lot of stuff you don't see on camera. There's a lot of good stuff that happens over the card shows, and so it's really a beautiful thing. And it was great to bring my boy out there and see people out there. So it was a good experience today.
Okay, sounds good. I'll ask all of you guys. Steve, what have you seen lately at card shows? Have you been to anyone lately? Anywhere lately?
I haven't been to any super recently. I'm scheduled for one in Indiana. I'm going to that Shipshewana in Indiana next week. There's some local stuff that's been going on that I usually go to. So I've always asked the guys I know that set up and stuff how the vibes are going. And I'm hearing there's people at these shows. I hear people are like, there's a good presence, and people are. I don't know if the cash flow is like it was, but people are jumping back in. I think post holiday, people are getting back in. The attendance is going back up. So the guys I've reached out to, like in the Canton area, I'm in Ohio, so the Canton area, the Pittsburgh shows around me, they're saying the attendance has been good. I haven't been there the last few weeks, but it's good to hear people are being active. So sounds like people want to. It sounds like the hobbies. people want the hobby. People want this. You know what I mean? I think for a while people were afraid because of the economy and a lot of the prices were dumping, but it seems like people want to be in this hobby. People are definitely intrigued. So that's a little bit of 2 cents I have.
Okay, what about you, Ziggy? What have you seen at the card shows?
I haven't been to any recently. I'm looking forward to Philadelphia. The Philly card show is coming up, I think, in 2 weeks on the 10th. And then Chantilly's coming up at the end of March, beginning of April. To me, what I like the shows for, I like the autograph sessions. I like going to those and see some of the athletes and stuff. I think it's a great opportunity. I will say one thing you made me think about, LT, was territories. One thing I noticed, you guys notice territories with local card stores? Like, I don't know if some of you are fortunate to have more than one in your area. Like, I have several, and there was one that just moved into my area, and I went there today, and I almost felt like I was cheating on my other card store. At the same time, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, look, I want the best price.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But I was thinking about that. Do you guys see that too? Like, do you see, I can see territories at events, and I can see them also in these local card stores as well, you know?
I'm not blessed enough to have a bunch in my, like, not in my, like, so I'm in a unique place in Ohio. I'm right on the Ohio River. But my locals would be like Youngstown, Canton, and like Pittsburgh. I'm about an hour and a half away from all three. And
you go to Steel City then? I mean, Steel City is a big one then.
Yeah. Like,
and see, I find that normally where they are, like I'm near Blowout. Blowout's not far. They normally keep small local card stores out of business because their prices are normally so good, right?
Yeah.
Now where I'm at, I'm in Winchester, Virginia, and in Winchester, Virginia, man, there's 3 local card stores, which really shocks me. Now these are new, but it's it's interesting.
That's pretty cool, Zig. I got family in Winchester.
Really? Yeah, I'm in Winchester right now. Yeah.
It's a beautiful area. Beautiful area.
It is a great little town.
For me, I'm not trying to. It's far enough away from DC, but you're close enough to the metro area, so it's a nice area.
Right by the interstate. Yeah, I like Winchester, man. It's a secret. But great little card stores. I was at, I think it was Foam City today was the new one.
I was just going to ask that. I heard about that shop coming in. My cousin got a hold of me and said they were just opening one, and it was he couldn't remember the name, but I thought it was Foam.
And they have apparently 4 or 5 locations. Okay, like they're in West Virginia, Maryland, here. And here's what's funny: they opened up right next to Target. Like they're the building right next to them. So I thought to myself, this is interesting because I remember back in the day, you go to Target to get stuff, and now you don't have to. You go to them.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Hobby, what have you seen in Jersey or around that area?
I mean, we have our local card shows here in Jersey. There's always the Woodbridge Card Show. There's a card show over at the Elks Club in Old Bridge, the Morris County Card Show. I haven't been to any in about 3 or 4 months now. The next show that I'm going to is actually in Augusta, Maine. It's going to be the Maine Collectors Convention. It's going to be hosted by the Card Carver and some of his people up there. That's going to be April 21st and 22nd, I believe, Saturday and Sunday. So I'm going to be heading up there to go check that out. I'm not setting up, but I'm definitely passing through to show some support.
How long is that drive? I assume you're driving up, or are you taking the train, or what?
I'm going to be driving up with one of my buddies. It's probably about 6 hours from here. It's a good run. So
okay, that's not bad. Are you going to go to the Philly show then?
I'm thinking after this card show is over in Maine in April, I'm going to start resuming throughout the summertime, picking up on more shows and stuff like that.
The one thing I was disappointed, the Philadelphia show does not have as many autographs or people doing the autographs as I'd like to see. Like I'd love to see some of like Jalen Hurts. I'd love to see him there. Right. Yeah. He's not there. None of the new or present Eagles, I think, are there. The DC show, Chantilly, has a lot. They have Trevor Lawrence is going to be there. Yeah. I'm super excited about that. So
I heard the Chantilly show has great autographers.
They really do. In fact, I didn't realize how spoiled I was being that close to it, because it probably is one of the top shows. Maybe TriStar down in Houston rivals that, but Chantilly does a great job 2 or 3 times a year getting a lot of autograph people in.
If there's shows in the Pittsburgh area, like the bigger shows in the Pittsburgh area, not that Pittsburgh's that strong of a hobby central, it's hard to explain. If there's a presence, it's just not as strong as like Philly. Yeah. But I've noticed when they do the Pittsburgh bigger shows and they have the autographers, none of the Steelers that would move the needle actually ever show up. They never get those guys. I don't understand that.
Do you chase that stuff? Because I will say, I noticed, I want to say there were some good hockey players that were in Pittsburgh doing autographs recently.
Yeah. Now the hockey players, they'll show out.
Yeah.
If I used to be into memorabilia. I used to get things signed.
Yeah.
I would have probably been in like my early 20s, and I would go to like Cleveland shows for that, because in Cleveland, Ohio, that's where you'll get a lot of people. Well, the National would be in Cleveland. When they would have the National in Cleveland at the IX Center, they would get some big names for that.
It
I've
doesn't.
noticed, like the Cleveland Indians, like they'll support their local stuff. Like
Cleveland Guardians, man. You got to get it right, man.
Yeah, Guardians.
what's
Come
that?
on, Steve.
Guardians, man.
Positivity,
We're
bro.
walking 2023, man.
My bad. I'm ignorant.
You know, what I find interesting is how you can go to these events, you can get an autograph on something that's unique. You can even get to, put a description, something inscribed on it, and it's not as valuable as something that gets manufactured by a company and graded because it's gold and has a sticker autograph on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that blows my mind.
Isn't it wild, dude?
It
You can get an autographed helmet for pennies on the dollar compared to a PSA 10 slab, whatever.
Well, again, also the experience. Like, I really like the experience. Like, I'm going to take some Trevor Lawrence. I think they base, probably some paper cards to get autographed. But I'm going to bring a green marker, so maybe I can like color match the autograph. But this is stuff you can't get from a manufacturer.
No, dude, that's unique.
They'll screw it up too. They might send me the wrong autograph.
Yeah, it's funny. I probably last month, but I joined the live with the Cousins. Ziggy, know the Cousins.
Yeah.
And I told him a story about how Barry Sanders took my orange Sharpie, because I brought an orange Sharpie because I had a white and orange Oklahoma State helmet for him to sign. And I agree. I like those personal interactions, because you can almost have your autograph personalized to a degree.
Yep.
All righty. Let's transition to some of the comments that I see. There's a lot of good comments. Unfortunately, I can't get to all of them, so don't get triggered, guys. I see people commenting all the time. You don't read my comments.
There it is.
We are living in an alternate universe. Jeff Wilson loves SCR and SCR loves Golden. Who would have thunk that? What's next? C. Blez and Santiago gonna go out on a date. All right, LT, we'll start with you. Your thoughts?
Oh, I can't wait to hear all you guys' reactions. Like I said, I'm sure the five of us are all very well connected, and what you see, don't believe everything you see. It is the internet. We are in this day and age to where we live in a matrix and everything is a movie, right? And so what's the old saying? As Hobby knows, I referenced to WWF when Shawn Michaels and Diesel said, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. That's all I got to say. Meaning I'm saying everyone's tied together.
Yeah, just because it happens on influencers' content feed, don't believe it all.
Exactly.
So let me add to this. Here's my thought on this. The one thing that I'm hoping comes out of this, I hope we go back to the Panini holograms on the boxes, and why are they marked? And why are these boxes coming out? Because this is something that both Sports Card Radio and Jeff Wilson brought up before they had their little tiff, right? They both were calling attention to Panini. So the fact that they both, and here's what I'll say. Here's what I realized. This is all marketing. Everything is marketing, right? Sports Card Radio saw a great opportunity because a lot of people don't like Jeff. And the PPP loan is like just a great button. It's like the easy button, man.
That was a layup.
So
Yep.
It is. So it is what it is. But now the two of them are doing that. I don't care. I like the fact that they brought attention to a guy who's a bad person in the hobby. That's a great thing.
Exactly.
We need more of that.
I don't mean to cut you off, but if there's one good positive thing, is that two people can kind of come together in the same mindset as we need to keep kids. We're looking out for kids.
Yeah.
Bottom line is everybody's putting their differences away for the betterment of the hobby, which is I respect that.
And just not only kids, but again, they can. And here's the thing: they can keep each other in check. I don't want them to be friends. It would piss me off actually if I see Sports Card Radio and Jeff Wilson hanging out and having drinks or something like that.
Yeah.
I like the tension, but I like to see them work cooperatively. Like they should basically say again, hey, you know what? Let's bring attention back to Panini and what is going on with these cases. I don't want to go back to. I don't believe that breakers get loaded cases deliberately. Here's my tin hat theory. I believe that every company has to keep track of where their merchandise is. They have to inventory track. That has to be done. There's a secret list in there that tells you where the one of one is, what box it's in, where it was shipped to. What I worry about is someone got access to that and is leaking that information out. right? If you're a hacker, you get access to that data, then I can start finding the right boxes and start shifting the right people. It's not in Panini's interest at all to have boxes open early or not open early, but it's in someone else's interest if they do. And that's what I worry about. And again, Sports Card Radio and Jeff Wilson could bring attention to this, right? Let's get back to those issues, in my opinion. And again, continue to not like each other. I don't want them to get too close.
Yeah.
Hobby, your thoughts on this?
I think that in 2023, I think everybody is starting to come together one way or another. It may have started off as tension, but I think that you're going to see. I think that it's getting better. I think that we're heading back in the direction of collectors and the conversation of collectors, and we're moving away from the investment talk. I think that we're seeing Jeff move away from that now. He's starting his. I saw that he's starting some kind of a podcast now where he's talking about different topics. So I think that. Well, here's a question. Is it more beneficial for these boxes to end up at the breakers, or is it more beneficial for it to end up in your hands or your hands or your hands at a local card shop? What benefits the hobby more? Not the manufacturer or not the breaker. What benefits the hobby more?
Here's my thought on that. Okay. I've been following this I've been in the hobby since 2015, primarily in breaks. And one thing I've not noticed until just recently, since 2020, is most of the time big hits did not impact the price of product. So if a big hit was pulled, it didn't typically drop it. Now in 2020, with more eyes and more people in it, you have seen their changes in box price. In fact, if there's a tool out there called, I think it's WaxStat. It's a free app that you can use out there. You can track the price of a box, when it's sold, what it's selling for now, what it's been going for. It's great to see. So maybe when a big hit comes out, you might see little dips in that. So I go back to saying what I love to see, and I've been beating this drum forever, I want hit tracking. When hits come out, someone should be posting to some common website. You see this with Superfactor on Instagram, right? So that we as consumers know what big hits have been pulled so we can make better decisions. Because the answer to your question is, to Panini, they've already sold the product. They don't give a shit once it's out the door. So whether the big hit gets pulled first or gets pulled last doesn't impact them. It impacts the distributors more than anybody. Now, back in the day, that would impact their costs and their price. So to answer your question, we'll see what happens with Fanatics and them taking over. I'd be more concerned when Fanatics has monopoly and big hits start popping up late or early. Because again, why is hit tracking not taking place? Because they don't want us to know what's going on in the product. They don't want you to be an aware consumer, and they being the manufacturers, right? Mm-hmm. Which I'll bring you back to another thing I mentioned earlier, the AIH. The whole argument going on with Prism God and the stolen card that's numbered 11 to 15 at Michael Jordan Auto. If I was in that legal case, I would say, prove to me that that's the only 11 to 15 Michael Jordan that was made like that. Because there's no proof. We assume that these manufacturers adhere to the serial numbers, and there's only so many made. But there have been proof where we've seen duplicates made before. So to assume just because there's an 11 to 15, I'd say, look, there's 50 of them. There's 1,000 of them. Prove to me there's not. The burden is now on you to go prove to me this is the stolen card that you think it is. And I don't really mean, I'm not trying to defend this being stolen merchandise. I want to put pressure on the manufacturers and the organizations. If you want legit value and asset, then it should be just like a diamond where you have a serial number on it and it's tracked. And it's kept in a database where the police get involved. But a serial number that's put on a card means nothing because manufacturers do this over and over and over and over and over and over and over. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'd like to see some changes on. I'd like to see that visibility come out.
Like the thing is that a lot of people, they don't know about the duplicate serial numbers. I mean, unless if it's people like us and the people that watch us. But like if you're an attorney or a court of law, like I think people would be confused about that.
It's an unregulated market.
We assume it. Again, it's just an assumption market. It's a whole market based on assumption and trust that we know has been violated. You know what I'm saying? That's what really is funny.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Oh, wait, and going back to the loaded box situation. So the thing is that Curator the other day, he pulled some Stranger Things card, and it was a numbered card, and apparently there's tens of thousands of boxes out there. 11,000 boxes. That's what it says on Cardboard Connection. I don't know if that's right. So do you think that Fanatics is giving guys like Curator these loaded boxes because he has a large audience on Instagram? Do you think that's happening?
I don't know if they're loaded, but I don't like that they give boxes and it's not disclosed. Like I want to know
He
how you got the
disclosed
box.
it. He disclosed that Fanatics sent it to him.
I know, but he just said,
Or is
"Oh,
there
this
a
is my
rule?
friends." But why? Are you a partner of theirs? Like, what
Right.
makes you special versus
Yeah.
me or someone else I know who deals with Fanatics? Like, I'll give you another example. Mojo Sport, not Mojo Breaks, but that guy's always out opening boxes with kids and goes, "Oh, it's a gift from Panini." What's your relationship with Panini? You know, are you a sponsor from them? That's always vague to me. I don't like that. So I
Hey,
wish you were
Raul.
more clear about it.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, Ziggy. If we look at the Zach of all trades, I'd put that comment up right now. It's regarding the Curator.
Oh, he's opening an immaculate case right
I'm watching
now.
it right now.
Who's this? Who is it?
Curator.
Curator's opening an immaculate box right now. I'm watching.
Again,
said
you know,
he got
this made me think of something too, by the way. When
Is
you
he
look at
kicking his
him
feet under the table?
and you look at DAPS and you look at some of these channels, right? The reality is you and I have been watching this for years. We know that like their numbers seem interesting, how they popped up. But if you're just an average user who came along, you're going to believe them. You're going to believe that they're a credible resource simply on the number of subs they have.
Yeah.
Therefore, if they're buying subs, who gives a shit? In fact, I almost applaud them for doing it because they build more credibility. No one cares if they bought their subs or how they got their subs. They just look at how many subs they have.
Yeah.
And that's why they continue to get stuff. Like if I'm Fanatics, I'm not going to send me any because I'm looking at this guy complains all the time. But I'll send the Curator. This idiot opens anything. You know what I'm saying? Like he would open bad stuff too. He doesn't know
You mean
what
a
he's talking
puppet?
about. Yeah,
You mean a
exactly.
puppet, Zig?
Yes, including bad products, right? Like I'm not going to open. I don't like college products. Personally, I don't like them. I think it's a waste of money. That's me. So you'll never see me with those. But you'd see him open anything, right? He'll open high school products if he could.
Do you think that they should be? Do you think that these companies, Fanatics, do you think that they should be disclosing to us who their influencers, paid influencers are?
Yeah,
At
they
least
should.
disclose who they're connected with. Like I don't know if it's paid or not, but it's like we're giving free products to so and so because.
Well, nothing's free.
I agree, but the
Everyone's
thing
got their
is,
price.
we all know it's. I think it's like Zig said. The bigger your following is, the bigger your platform becomes.
Yep.
I mean, you're an influencer
Perceived.
for a
Yeah.
reason.
And it's perceived. I'll tell you, Hobby Shark, where I think it goes back to is I think Fanatics is walking a very fine line with sports cards and gambling because they want to be involved in gambling, but they know sports cards have been legal gambling that's been going on for a long time without
For
any
sure.
regulation. Right. So in fact, I will say this again. I really believe they will eventually puke out the licensing for sports cards. They will not be worth the money that they can make in gambling long term, or even in the monopoly on jerseys. Right. I mean, why would they want to be in this? They can make more money in other things, but I think that's what's holding them back.
I think eventually, I mean, just in my perspective of things that I've been, the way that I look at things over the last few years now, and knowing how business savvy Michael Rubin is, I have a very strong assumption that once this comes full play and all the licenses are under one umbrella, it's going to open up the door where if you want to have a physical shop, you're going to have some type of state license from the state, some type of gambling license in order to sell cards. And I think that also in that hand is where you're going to see a company like I've continuously said Whatnot is going to end up being the downfall to all of this, because as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not saying every seller on Whatnot because that's not what this is, but there are certain people on Whatnot that it is textbook illegal gambling that's going on with some of these like duck races and some of these buying into certain things. So like the way Whatnot prevents themselves from getting in trouble is they say, all right, well, if anybody buys into one of these Razzes or these breaks, you have to send them something. We don't care if you send them a bottle cap. You have to send them something. And that's what takes that all away. But I definitely do see that there's going to be some sort of licensing put in place in order to sell physical high-end sports cards or sports cards in general, the same way that people sell lottery tickets or even cigarettes.
I see Punt Pass and Kick make some comment here about they don't need to worry about a gaming license. This is a state issue, though. It will come down to state and also come down to taxes. There's a lot of money being left on the table. In fact, the fact the IRS is not collecting the $600 minimum requirement this year, and that will probably happen next year. As soon as that happens, states are going to be more aware of this too. And like, hold on, we can make money off of, sports cards and memorabilia and all this other stuff that can be taxed. So I don't think it's a bad thing if it's regulated. I think then we have more credibility in the industry. And also what I'd like to see is people go to jail for bad things. I mean, there's more and more crime in this industry. In fact, here's another example. I was listening to, I think it was Hobby Hotline or somebody this week. There were 5 robberies in Panama City in one night. 5 robberies in one night at 5 different locations of memorabilia and sports cards. That's an organized hit there. I mean, they know what they're going after. They took hundreds of thousands, and this is going to continue. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's very easy to move that type of merchandise.
Yep.
Very easy to turn it to cash.
Yeah. And if I can say something, it's just like you're saying, Zig. I live in, excuse my French, a very liberal state in California. And, the criminals basically are treated like first-class citizens, because as a criminal, you can get away with anything. And people who are us, I mean, I'm just serving my country in the military, right? But then I have friends who are law enforcement, detectives, FBI, whatever. And the criminals have more rights in the state, right? And it's just like you said, Ziggs, is that when it comes into that, where I thought what you said with organized hits, right? One of my friends in one of my our chat, he was saying that his card shop, they attempted to hit it, and he's in like a ghetto area, right? But thankfully he had a little fencing up, they had cameras, everything. But he told me that the guys try to jump into the air conditioning vault, like when you get it is a shared common area, so they try to get in through the top and get in there, and of course the back they tried to not the back but the front door, they tried to break in right there. And so that's scary, man, and when you have no regulation with cards and stuff, that's the kind of stuff that happens right there. Yeah.
Well, let me just say something. I hate to say this, guys, but if you're a criminal, what can you steal and move liquid very fast across this country? Because if you break it in Panama City and you drive up there to Chicago and go to some local card stores, shows you're going to move this stuff any way you want to. It's too easy.
I mean, you could come fresh out of jail and get a couple stacks real quick and go buy a bunch of cards and send them off to get graded and be a millionaire in a year.
In fact, I think Hunt has.
I wonder who you're talking about.
Oh shit!
Hi, Ken.
I will say one thing to say. I'm not a fan of PSA. Okay, but I am forced to use them because they still have autograph authentication.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. There's only 2 companies that I know that do that, guys: Beckett and PSA.
Yep.
And when I talked back earlier about those autographs that I don't know chase at those shows, when I get those autographs, who's there doing the autograph authentication? Freaking Beckett, GSA, and then PSA. But you just, as far as slabs, it's only Beckett and PSA. So I wish someone else would get in the authentication of autograph game, but that's all we have right now for choices.
Yeah. I had one more thing I thought of. I was at my local card show today. I just remembered there was a player on the LA Galaxy, and he I don't think he's a big name. That's an MLS soccer team, and he was signing autographs because this thing was in it's called the Sports Basement, and it's the sports store, but then we had a little back area there, and so he was signing stuff, but then he's also a breaker, and I just sat there what we were discussing earlier. I'm just kind of like, Fanatics and everything going at Fanatics, it's going to own the card market. They already own the sports merchandise, and now you got athletes involved. Hanky panky.
Yeah. Let me ask you.
I just thought about that today.
Is anybody happier that Fanatics manages jerseys than they were before Fanatics? No, I'm not.
No.
I mean, I'm not. I'll be honest. I have, but before that, if anybody's watching, back in the day, everybody made a jersey, and I know Reebok had one and Nike had one, but I had a choice. I went to Kmart or I went to Walmart, and I had a budget, and I spent as much money as I wanted to. Sometimes I got the ones with the embroidered, but I had choices. Since Fanatics has had a license, I have not. I think I probably bought a few, but I buy less, and I'm not happy about it at all. In fact, I smile when I make a purchase and I see it shipped from China because I know it's a counterfeit. I'm like, well, that's one Fanatics didn't have. But it irks me. Like, I'm not happy with Fanatics having that license. It doesn't. Why would I be happy in the future? This is another thing that bothers me too. Every influencer is like, oh, it's gonna be so great when Fanatics takes over. Why? It's like saying I can't wait for Putin to take over, beat Ukraine. Why? You think it's gonna be better?
I mean, the only thing I kind of look forward to myself, or at least I hope for once they take over, is that they end up bringing back Topps basketball products at some point. I mean, that's the one thing that I'm hopeful for.
Is that just the Chrome though? because their patch products suck.
Just in general, because I mean, the one thing that bothers me about Panini over the years, as opposed to Topps, is the reverse of the card. There's so much information on the reverse of the Topps cards as opposed to Panini. Panini, it's like, you know, on Topps you're getting career stats, and on Panini it's like LaMelo Ball likes to eat sandwiches at halftime. It's like, what do you like?
Is that a Panini thing? I always wondered that too. The modern cards, I was like, why are the stats not on cards anymore?
I think it's just a Panini thing. Maybe it's possible that Topps owns the what do you call it?
The patent for stats.
the copyright for the stats for the back of the cards, possibly, maybe. I don't know. But I've yet to see Panini do more than 1 or 2 years of stats on the reverse of a card. It's kind of like, you know, and then they're using all the same photoshopped images over and over on their cards. Panini.
They probably don't put the stats on the back of the basketball cards because all these dudes be resting too much. There's not enough games that they're playing in.
Well, see, I still do applaud Panini because if you look at their innovation, whether you like them or not, they try stuff. Like they're doing the Monopoly game thing, which I really don't understand it yet, but they're doing this crossover with Monopoly, Prism Basketball. They did the Funkos last year. They even have sneakers. I'm going to say again, Topps has done absolutely, positively nothing new in 50 freaking years, dude. They're followers. They follow Upper Deck. They follow Panini. Like, I'm surprised you say you like Topps Chrome. There is nothing exciting about Topps. In fact, I wish they stopped making Topps. They ended the name and they got rid of it because there'd be more value in it. The fact that Fanatics has it is going to ruin it, in my opinion, in the future. You know what I'm saying? Like if they ended it, it's like, oh, remember back in the day we had Topps? Yeah, Topps was great. Now we're gonna, like 20 years from now, my kids are gonna grow up thinking Topps is Fanatics. If Fanatics keeps it, you know, we'll see.
I think that Topps is they're gonna get all these female influencers to pump their product. I think that's the way it's
fired.
I'm triggered.
You're triggered.
I don't think it's a gender issue at all, man. I really don't. I just don't.
Don't females get more eyeballs on their pages?
Females, because the purchasers, men, right? Like, why do men, like, for example, WWE female cards sell really well? Why? Because who's buying them?
Well, gee, I wonder how much percentage this hobby is. Like,
that's like, did you see those X-rated cards that are being made? The fake cards, the Bang Bus X-rated cards.
Oh, yeah.
Those are selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
And why? You know, there's not the women collecting those; it's men. They're the dominant, you know, purchaser.
Yeah, but from a marketing aspect, you'd want to use women.
Yeah, and they do, and that's why DAPS. Hey, why is DAPS Views doing so well? He does a very good job of using women to market to the hobby.
Yep.
DAPS is getting a lot of views on his shorts, but his other YouTube views, he's not getting that much.
I know, but it doesn't make a difference because people will still, again, Fanatics sees him as an influencer, so they're probably sending him boxes. He's, you know, in with a Curator, he's getting boxes, you know, and he does.
Yeah, they had a Star Wars night yesterday. You didn't see the Zix?
I heard about it. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of DAPS. It really bothers me the line that he crosses, but that is what has been chosen as the hobby. You know, he's one of the influencers. He's probably higher on the influencer list for Fanatics than Jeff is. And I don't like DAPS more. I think DAPS is more dangerous to the hobby than Jeff is. Because DAPS does not care about your kids, guys. DAPS has been selling those damn packs that he makes. He's the guy who puts a card in front of you with an autograph and then tells you a card without the autograph is the same card, right? And there's videos doing that. He's a very shady character.
He's also the same guy that's asked women if they'd sleep with him.
Yeah, he had that show on where he's out there, you know, harassing women.
Oops, sorry, hobby.
He is who is representing the hobby. He took no PPP loans, though.
You sure? You down with PPP?
He just probably didn't know how to fill one out.
So with DAPS, I was told that he probably used a PR firm, or I'm connecting all the things that were said. He used a PR firm, and it seems that the PR firm may have, you know, worked something out with Fanatics. Now, I can't confirm that 100%, but there have been PR letters, you know, talking about DAPS, and he's selling $5 million. Do you believe this? I think it said he sold $5 million worth of the Bulls of cards a couple of years ago. Do you believe that? Or
did he start in 2020 in cards? Or was he
I don't know.
That? See,
let's look. I mean, I'll Google.
I will applaud his hustle. I just don't like, and here's what I don't like. If you're going to do something shady, you're going to block people because you don't want the criticism to correct it. That's really concerning. And then you see him doing, you know, he continues to grow and grow and grow. And
Wait, he blocked you, or was that
Yes.
Curator?
Oh, yeah. I'm blocked by
Oh.
him. I'm blocked by Curator.
Oh,
I mean,
more
I-
than Hobby Shark?
Let me
I
ask
could-
y'all something.
I
Just
could
out of
be
curiosity because
ahead.
I've seen the video. Do you believe that Star Wars 1 of 1 sale between him and Curator? Do you think that was real?
I don't know.
You mean the 16,000? Yes, I do.
You do?
Because here's the funny thing to that, right? I think that's why they became friends. And I really do think, like, I even think this, he might have given him, like, I'll put it this way. I think they did it. And since then, I'm sure Dan has probably given him some money or done some nice things in return. Like, he realized, shit, I just got $16,000 from this guy. I didn't realize we're going to be friends now. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't do that to a friend. But I'm sure at the time they weren't friends when the guy's like, because he asked 20 for it and negotiated down to 16. So I do think that did take place because what did he do a few weeks later? He was doing the video, oh, it's a $100,000 card. Like, I just think like he did buy it with the intent of selling it for more when it hasn't sold and he's still holding it. Now his buddy feels bad he sold him for so much. But yeah, I think it was a legit sell. And if it wasn't, it's too hard to argue it isn't. Like, he's made it public. You know what I'm saying? So it's as legit as you want it to be. Because I'll put it this way. When he sells it for whatever he does sell it for, okay, we're going to remember in our mind he got it for $16,500, I think it was. And if he goes to the side and goes, actually, I didn't pay that much. We're going to go, bullshit, dude. You told the whole world it was $16,500. So, you know, if it is $16,500.
I got to be honest. These are my thoughts. It could very well be true. It also could be a 100% market move. This is a niche section of this card hobby that is low data. There's not a lot of history and longevity of it in the market. And let's say the sale was true. There's a lot of things. And now look, they're like the Star Wars guys now.
Well, I'd say here's my thing to that though. I have not seen
a lot of it's marketing, in my opinion.
If you had seen other supers go around the same, I would agree with you, but you haven't, right? In fact, I don't think any supers even hit 10,000, dude.
That's
why I think it's so apparent this idiot took the bait like a fool, and now he's like, oh man, I spent 16,000 on this. There's another channel out there called, I think it's called Not Sports Cards. Really good channel. The guy does Star Wars. He knows his Star Wars stuff, and there's no reason really that release is getting the popularity that it is. Like, it's a good product. It's a cool product. Mm-hmm. Star Wars fans love it. And maybe $1,000, maybe $1,500, $2,000 for a super makes sense, but no one's paying $10,000, $20,000, dude, for that stuff. They're manufacturing the hell out of it. And they're going to make it every year. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing, I don't know. I think he got fooled by it. Here's what I'd love to know. I would love to talk to the guy who sold it to Merle at Culture Collision 2 years ago. The dealer who sat next to him, because I want to hear the story that Merle gave him about how, man, that's my grill card. It's my PC. I love that card. I want to know what he sold it to him for, because I bet you it was under $1,000. I'm thinking it's probably like around $400 to $500, because Merle, I think, sold it for like 5,000 or a couple thousand. So I just love to hear that story from that guy. Like,
the story I heard, I heard it was like $300 or $400 that he got it for. That's just the story. I can't, just what I heard from the grapevine. And then Curator bought it from him. And everybody talks about it as a grail, and then within a week, it's in DAPS hands for $16K on 2 content creators' channels. That's why I have my questions as far as, was it a marketing thing?
Yeah. Well, again, we'll keep an eye. I can't wait to see it sell if it does.
So, Hobby, do you think that was a fake sale?
I mean, the whole time you guys are talking, I keep thinking to myself that people that I know personally that collect Star Wars items and collectibles over the years are not into cards at all.
That's what I mean.
I can't understand who would be spending this much. Who's going to spend that kind of money on a card, right? When you can spend equivalent to that kind of money for a prop from one of the movies, let's just say.
No, I don't disagree. Here, 2 things you could do, right? Was it filed for taxes as a purchase, right? And is it in card ladder? I mean, because I'll put it this way: if I made that transaction, I'm very private as it is. I made that transaction. I would not be publicly telling everybody about it.
That's what I mean.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why I feel like the cameras are so deceiving, and that's what makes me question so much. Like,
but let me put it this way: when it happened was over a year ago, I believe. Right? Since then, his channel has taken off. Not only that, he's now a Fanatics. Gets Fanatics stuff. So even if he did, it's a $16,000 right after the company that he doesn't care about, dude. It's not like a human being spending money like you and I taking out of your personal budget. That's another thing too. It's like an advertising thing.
Yep.
In fact, here's another thought I had. If you have a small company that you want to make some advertising money, buy a sports card for a couple $1 million just so you get yourself in like all the Fortune magazines and like that. It just gets you, get you marketing money. People just talk about you.
That's how Vegas they did it.
Exactly. I mean, the guy
$400,000
bought
Mike Trout to what, 2 million or something close to that?
Yeah, and then he's in all these different shows and stuff, and he's a sports card expert on that behind the
Gary
card
V.
show. Yep.
The thing about Curator, what kind of annoys me about him, he says that, oh wait, this card sold for $15,000, so I expect that card is going to sell for $30,000.
That's
Like,
what I mean from the marketing
like,
thing. It's the language that was used in that video.
Well, why? Because he has
He has a
it.
Star Wars index too.
Hold on. Did you not listen to DAPS explain that his logic behind this is one of my favorite videos. He talks about, and I'm shut this down quickly. A PSA 9 sells for $200 or $2,000, which means a PSA 10 should sell for 10x that. So that would be $20,000. And if it's numbered to 10, that means the 1 of 1 will be 10 times that, which makes it $100,000. So if you reverse that, a 1 of 1's 100, a number to 10, if it's a PSA 10, is a $10,000 card. And if it's a PSA 9, but it's numbered to 10, it's now a $2,000 card.
Raul, you're fired. You're no longer the accountant. We're hiring now.
I love that. This is the 10x multiplier. I'm like, dude, where are you making this shit up from? It's like you're
like
pulling
that,
out
man.
a magic.
It's a Tesla.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I've heard through the grapevine that someone's trying to fractionalize these Star Wars cards. So
Wouldn't surprise me, dude. Collectible
so then
fractionalizing
maybe
wine.
that's why they're getting these valuations. Like, oh, maybe someone paid $30,000 for one of these cards, and that's why they're coming up with these numbers.
Hey,
Hey, Raul.
isn't collectible fractionalizing wine? Am I wrong
I have
about
no
that?
idea. I have no idea.
So yeah, they
Favorite.
would fractionalize anything.
Favorite ass, Raul. Put up Inglorious P's last comment.
Isn't Curator a lawyer? Kind of surprised he is, to be honest.
Yes, divorce
Well,
lawyer.
I'll stick in there. Zig, you hear it from here because it's an Asian crime. I can't stand the Curator. I say it. I would disown him if I could, out of my ethnicity group. Yeah, I said it. He practices. His license is in DC, and he can't practice in California. He's a mediator. Okay, and based on the resources, the people I've talked to and stuff, he can't practice law in California, and he's a pretty shitty lawyer. That's all I'm going to say on that comment.
He's also a pretty shitty card salesman, but
There are a lot of lawyers too that are in sports card, which surprises me.
Yeah. Your buddy Jeremy Lee, I think he's interviewing a guy who's a lawyer who's going to go full time into sports cards. So that's what's going on right now. I don't know why you go into sports cards as of this minute if you're a lawyer making good money, but
I mean,
each
I can
their own.
understand if collectors, like if you're a collector.
you're a collector, yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that makes
As a
sense.
side.
Well, it's a great retirement income, right? Because you can have a small business, you can do a lot of writing off, you can do traveling. There's a lot of wonderful things about the hobby and people in it. So
You
in
can
fact,
money launder.
I'll say this. No, absolutely. In fact, you're absolutely right. That's the wonderful thing about the hobby. It's like it is an opportunity to be good or bad. You know what I'm saying? You're absolutely right. You could be extremely bad and trim cards and sub and steal, or you can be very good and do wonderful things. So it's
So what percent you think the hobby has money laundering? Since I did a video the other day,
69% easy.
69.
Very, very interesting number, Steve.
I don't think it's that high because
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's that high, but I definitely think something's going on.
Oh yeah, dude. My whole thing is the high-end market is such a low percentage because let's think about it. Like the true buyers of these super high-end markets. That's where I think the money laundering's happening.
I agree.
It's not this
absolutely
mid to low stuff. It's the high-end game.
Although I will say this too, though, if I'm going to launder money, it's not in sports cards right now. I do it in crypto.
Oh yeah,
It's much easier to do it in crypto than it is to deal with it. Even now, with everything going on, the shit in the fan, everything going on, it's much easier to do it there. I just do think the sports card could have been a place to do. And I think the bigger issue is, again, stolen cards. and fake cards, right? It's easier to steal cards, move them as cash, and that's why you have a lot of crime in it and not a lot of tracking them down.
LT, what are your thoughts?
Man, I've never talked so much there. I actually want to hear more from Hobby because I know he's got some.
I'm
Hobby's got
being
some
very
stuff. I want to hear
observant
what he's
tonight.
gonna say. Come on, Hobby.
I'm being extremely observant tonight. I don't know, man. I think that if I had to put a number on money laundering that's going on in the hobby, I'd say it's probably a 50-50 split. And the reason why is because the people that are on the consumer end that are going to shows and buying packs or even buying into breaks or whatever, right? That's your bottom 50%. The top 50% that know how to launder the money. I mean, think about it. Sports cards is a very, very easy way to launder money. It's very simple. It's a very simple thing, especially if you have a buddy at an auction house. It becomes easier.
But when you say, are you saying get tax-free money or launder money? Because when you say
No,
launder
I'm
money,
saying
you're
if
taking
you don't-
criminal money and you're washing it to make it clean money.
No,
right?
if you're taking dirty money,
Yeah.
right? Dirty money,
what I'm
this is the
thinking.
perfect way to clean the money because none of the feds are hip to how any of this works at all. And by
The
the time they
valuations,
are
yeah.
hip,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, I
By
can
the
see
time that they do catch on to it and they are hip to how this works, they're already gone off in the wind. And then everybody else that's in the younger category, like the gentleman that's asking for people to speak with him on camera, gets caught up 10 years from now.
Because
While
I
other people
would
escape.
say tax-free money, a lot of people, probably 90, maybe 75% people like that about the hobby. They can make money, it's tax-free, but cleaning money. Let me ask you another quick question. How many people do you think are in the hobby? And what I'm saying that is active in the hobby in a month, making purchases, buying and selling. And let's say they're roughly between under $100 of transactions to qualify a month. Is that 1 million people? Is it 500,000 people? Is it 10 million people globally in the hobby? I'm just curious thoughts.
$100 a month,
Globally.
$100 a month or less.
Active though, they're active, not because I'll tell you, I think there's a lot of people who are transient who come in, they buy a box, but they're not there for 6 months. Okay, I'm not talking the guy who buys a blast for the sun every now and then. I'm talking active participant in the hobby, transactional month to month.
I think
it's
right now
probably
in
a lot smaller than we think.
2023, I think that right now in 2023, we're probably between 15 and 20% higher than we were in 2019. The boom is already over. Those people came in, they exited. I want to say we're probably 15 or 20% better than we were 4 years ago. With that being said, I mean, if you think about it and really just think about this for a second, a majority of the people that are on social media, whether it be Instagram, YouTube, there are hundreds and hundreds, if not into the very low thousands, but everybody is pretty much familiar with each other.
Yeah.
So now take a number like that and multiply it by maybe 10 or 15, and you have the people that are in our hobby today. You know what I mean? Not everybody is on social media mingling and doing this and doing that or setting up at card shows, but they're also not going to stores or to card shows and purchasing cards the way that we were when we were kids 30 years ago.
Yep.
It's not the same market at all. That's why I think Michael Rubin is talking about specifically marketing cards to people now, because it hasn't been done before. So like I do essentially think that the numbers are going to grow as we keep going over the next couple of years. I think we are going to see it boom again, but it's not going to be anywhere near what we saw over the course of the last 2.5 years. We'll never see that again, ever.
So
again.
how many people would you million?
No, it's far less than that, I would say. I think
I would agree.
worldwide, I'm the United States, Australia, China, everywhere. We're probably in the 500,000 zone.
I like that
around
number.
there. I think we're around there, but I think in the United States, where it is the biggest, we're probably 250 to 300,000 strong.
And I'm curious for other people's answers, but the reason I bring this up is when you figure out what that number is, back that number into what is expected in revenues in the future. And that is where the mistake the Fanatics has. If they expect a $20, $30 billion annual market, it's not coming from 500,000. It's not even coming from 5 million humans. You see what I'm saying? How big that has to be? Yeah. So I'm curious. I think a lot of people too, like I haven't heard anybody put numbers around it. I think people think the hobby's bigger than that. Like they look at Jeff Wilson's page and go, there's 200,000 people on his page. I'm like, that doesn't mean they're all active in the hobby. That means half of them hit the page at one point, subscribed, and are, moved on in some ways.
Oh, great point. You sound like you have a brain, Ziggs.
one of the questions that I have is that during the boom that we saw during, I want to say it was maybe the third quarter of 2020 going into the first 2 quarters of 2021 when we had that massive boom. I mean, logically, all right, people were home, people were getting money from the government. All right, fine. Where did all of the inflation of prices come from is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Okay, because we have these people that have been in the hobby 2016, 17, 18, prior to that, whatever. But I can tell you firsthand that I watched Kobe Bryant's Topps rookie card, let's just say, go from before he was killed, it was like $4, $6 for the raw base card. Okay, now we're going into the helicopter crash happens, and now we're going into the end of 2020, going into 2021, and that same rookie card is now 80, 90, 120 for the raw card. And now if we look at it, it's probably, without me looking, I want to say it's probably around 30, 35 for the raw card. So who is responsible out of our hobby people that are floating up at the top? Who's responsible for increasing those prices like that on base cards that are mass printed?
Ignorant influencers.
That's what I'm trying to say. So who? Right. So who is to Fanatics is coming in and they're expecting for the market to blow up and make all this money, but is it to say that what they saw was a mirage looking back at those 2 years, even though there was an explosion of money, but where did the influx of the prices come from? That was the whole thing. It's like,
I agree.
It's the same thing when we were going to the end of 2022 and we had NFTs that were coming out all of a sudden, and we had the same people that were pumping the cards like Gary V, now pumping NFTs and crypto, right? And then it trickled on over to Logan Paul, right? And it trickles into all these people. So the question is, in the end, is that if we're going to talk to the future of the hobby and we're going to talk to the kids, right? Why is it that why is it that they are focusing on the value instead of the collector's aspect of it?
100%.
If kids is what they truly want to get into the hobby, why are we focusing on the value? Because value was not, I mean, in my life anyway, we didn't start to focus on value. I started collecting at 7. We didn't start to really focus on value until I was around 13, 14. Then it started to become like you started to look at numbers. You had your collection, you started to look at numbers, but it was like older collectors that had the more expensive stuff. And back then, an expensive card, 600 was expensive. 800 was expensive back then for like a Jordan rookie card. Now you have the Jordan at the peak of it selling for what, 850,000 at a PSA 10, and now it's worth what?
150.
That's what I'm getting at, though. So where those big inflatable numbers that we know don't exist as collectors, where did that come from? Where it fooled everybody, so everybody say, "Hey, let's get into
harp on Gary V." But if you think about another guy who has that type of platform and that type of following with that demographic of guys who want to flip, they want to hustle. And when all he has to do is do a 60-second clip saying, I'm going to be buying LeBron Topps Chromes and Zion Prisms bases. And you have a whole bunch of hungry young guys who want to flip. We weren't just pumped with money in the hobby. We were pumped with an enormous amount of flippers. Like we always had flippers in the hobby and nobody cared. Everybody, they were dealers. That's how it was. It was just, they were dealers. But now you had a demographic of young guys who were just flooded the hobby as flippers. So then demand comes into effect. So I don't know. I think somebody like a Gary V, I'm not going to say it was 100% nefarious or intentional, but when you have how many people following on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, and you can convince your demographic of young men who want to flip, that's pretty much why they follow Gary. They want to hustle, hustle, hustle. He tells everybody, fucking hustle, fucking hustle. You had an influx of people jumping in when money was being poured in and flippers were being poured in. So we had too many flippers come in.
Well, let's say there was a couple other things. I'll hit on both these. I remember when Kobe Bryant autos were $100 autos. They were very, very common. He was one of the most common people to autograph for Panini. I remember being in breaks. For example, I chased Alonzo Ball and NT. I remember spending a lot of money in NT breaks for Alonzo Ball, being disappointed getting Kobe on-card autographs, selling them for a couple $100. Okay, so that is a key thing that happened in 2020. His death, okay, spiked the value of his cards to a whole ignorant generation of people coming to cards who didn't understand that. And the reason I say that is fast forward to today. You have people today. I saw a trade go down where a guy traded 2 Larry Bird autos from Flawless. They're not rookies. They're Larry Bird Flawless autos for a rookie autograph of Tiger Woods. Now, somewhere what also happened, to answer your question, evaluation, somebody inflated the value of vets. Let's go back to what a vet auto is. A vet can sign as many damn times as he wants for the rest of his life, over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And people don't realize that. So we have a whole bunch of ignorant people out there who think, oh, it's Larry Bird. It's on this Flawless piece. It's worth $1,000. No, it's not. It's extremely common. I can go to the show and meet him and get him to give me a special autograph. So that's part of it, was his ignorance, and it was the timing. It was also the Michael Jordan. Now, again, there's never going to be another documentary where the whole world is closed down and has no sports, nothing to watch.
Yeah.
So you have the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. Kobe dies. Michael Jordan's on TV. We all believe these are the people. So everything they touch must be worth money. And it trickled down. It trickled down like LeBron. LeBron's wearing the Lakers jersey. His card must be worth a lot of money. You know, and the worst part was there was nobody. Well, I won't say there wasn't anybody. There were a lot of people calling bullshit, but the loudest voices were not.
Right.
And the loudest voices today are the ones going, well, we shouldn't have been doing this. Like, duh. You're right about Gary Vee. Gary Vee, he didn't profit directly, but how many deals did he get because he introduced Steve Aoki to Topps?
Zero cool. Look at the Zero.
Yes,
cool.
yes.
Now he's in with Fanatics now.
Well, you're absolutely right. That's a perfect example, Splendid, because he got Steve Aoki involved with Topps. Topps and Steve Aoki gets access to that huge environment. And what does he get? He gets access to the NFT project through Zero Cool. So he doesn't have to make money flipping Giannis cards. He doesn't give a shit about Giannis cards. He makes money off of his businesses, right? Yep. It's Shark Tank to him, basically.
Yep.
All
right.
I'm notorious for going after Gary Vee. I'm sure everybody in this group's tired of hearing about it, but I just think I highlight him because he's got such an enormous. I mean, he was a celebrity before the hobby. He was an internet influencer, and I call him a market manipulator. I mean, we can say it with crypto, with NFT. Like that's what he does. He jumps markets.
Who is like him?
That type of following?
Does he have a competition? Is there somebody like him?
Besides Gary, what?
If there's, again, I'm not a fan of it.
I would say Vegas Dave.
Really interesting.
Nah.
Vegas Dave isn't on Gary Vee's level.
Because the thing about Gary Vee, like I said, I didn't know about him a lot, but his messaging, I see how viral it is. His positivity, the way he talks to people, I can see. And again, I go back to we talked about Jeff and Sports Card Radio, right? They're looking at business opportunities. How can they make their business better? That's what Gary's doing. He wasn't mean. He wasn't notoriously trying to hurt people, but he definitely lured a lot of ignorant people into sports cards, and he made a lot of money off of it.
Yeah. Can I say something? Raul, go back to Charles Fuchs.
Which one?
The one where it says everything in the last 2 years.
Everything in the last year. Let me go back up.
That was at 758. Because I want to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Just from a business perspective. This is right on the dot right here. It's not about us hating or trying to regulate the hobby or whatever, right? Because people are trying to talk about socialism, right? We're talking about these big business terms and unregulation, all this stuff, right? Number one, any kind of niche when it comes to what he's saying right here, I'm assuming that's he, it's the person that puts their money forward that they're going to buy into, right? We can all agree on that if you're dumb enough to take the bait, right, from the influencer or whoever in any of these markets right here, right, then that's not that I would say it's criminal, right? We agree on that, right? But then if the person is dumb enough to put their money into that, then that's on them, right? What do you guys think about that? I'm curious on that.
The one thing I worry about is the buyer beware mentality. I mean, I understand that. I love capitalism, but this is, as we know, this is a hobby that touches children. Yeah. And I'll even go back. I agree with, I forget who talked about it earlier, but they didn't get into understanding the value of cards at 13. I was like that too, but I will remember there was somebody older than me who did understand the value of cards, right? There's always that kid in the room who's trying to trade you 2 cards that you like for one that you don't know why he wants it because he knows it has value.
Right.
I think that always exists in the hobby. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? We all recognize, we kind of laugh at it. Well, I traded because I really like this Mets player, but I traded in my rookies. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. I think at some point people evolve. Like I'll tell you, I have kids, and my kids all were in the hobby. To them, it's all money now. They don't have any passion for the cards. They look at it for how much money can I get because I need to buy some, Fortnite tokens later on. So Dad, sell my card so I can go ahead and get a game over here. They look at it interchangeable, and kids are very intelligent when it comes to value today too.
You hit the nail right on the head, Zig. When I go to shows and I set up with the local guys, the guys the promoters of the shows that I'm friends with, I'll get a table here and there. And I look at kids, and it's nothing like when we all first started. Kids don't look at these as collectibles. They just don't.
Yeah.
It's about how can I get it first off the line and I can flip it.
Yep.
That's exactly what this is. So really, kids are involved in the gambling aspect of this. When I first started with my old man, it wasn't like that. It was, who's the players you like? This is your budget. This is how you price cards. This is how you look them up in the Beckett. This is what you pay. And like you treat it as something that you were going to buy to keep. And like kids have younger guys. I'm even talking guys in college.
Yeah.
Like these guys in college, they're doing it to flip.
But I feel like
I had
that's
a conversation with a young man at a Canton show, and he was raving to me about how much better Justin Herbert was than Joe Burrow. And I said, "Do you collect Justin Herbert?" He says, "No, I only care what's trending." And I'm sitting there thinking, like, this ain't a collectible. And I had a conversation with a buddy in New York today, and I said, we've lost track. This whole post-boom or the boom, post-boom, the mindset's all out of whack. These the word collectible, it's not even in their framework. They have no idea of it as being a collectible. There's no forever home for these cards. And like, that's kind of unhealthy. You can't flip. You're just going to be sticking people with the bag, and that's what's happening right now.
Well, I agree. And I also say that's why
Mosaic football for Brock Purdy, and nobody wanted to collect him. They just wanted to get to it first so they could flip it.
But I'll say collectibles, and this is what bothers about Fanatics talking about marketing. The reason things are collectibles is because not everybody has it.
Right.
I like that, man. Like if everybody's in this, like for example, in my world, I'm a professional cybersecurity engineer. Okay. I don't know anybody to sports cards. And if I do, I don't really talk to them about it because I want to keep those worlds separate. For me, I like being in the, you know what I'm saying? Like I like, if it becomes mainstream, I'm not going to like it as much. And I don't think that they get that either. Like that's how I think most collectors are. They like the nicheness of it. They like the fact that it's their cards. And when you make it mainstream and you're selling too much, I'm out, man.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the kids today are having that mindset though, because they're seeing YouTube videos floating around that say, I just spent $50,000 on cards and look what I just got as clickbait. Absolutely. Is that the reason why we're in that generation of, hey, I just want to be in this for money?
Go ahead, Zig.
I would say, I'll think like this, man. When I was a kid, I remember looking at the prices of stuff. The difference is it's easier to get the value out of it today with eBay, right? Like I remember looking at my Don Mattingly and my Jose Canseco, but no one was going to give me money for them. Where today kids are smart enough, it doesn't make a difference. Like my kids told me they could sell their Fortnite profiles because they had special skins in them.
Yeah, they're
right. I'm saying? So they're hearing about that from other kids. They're gonna figure out what's of value regardless. And I'll also say too,
a video game.
Yeah, but you can sell your account because if you got the Black Knight skin, your account's worth a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
Just like
I'm not gonna lie, you're speaking French to me, my brother. I don't even know what.
I understand.
You sell the
reason why?
Well, people will what's it called? Well, you can have somebody log into your account and play for you to get you skins, to get you clout. And you can be hired to do that too.
Okay.
That is one of the main reasons why I've said that, if you're investing, right? You're investing, you should be investing into what these kids are doing instead.
Yeah.
Right? Fortnite cards, all right. If they're going to be into cards, odds are just in my world with my own child and his friends and everything over the last few years, these kids are going, if they're going to be into cards at all, in my eyes, it's going to be Fortnite, WWE wrestling, possibly basketball.
So like my childhood, that's when Pokemon came on the scene. So this could be this generation.
And Pokemon as well. That's another thing.
And you know what? Pokemon is doing a better job when you think about it than sports cards or Magic or any other collectible. They've held up during the boom. They're kind of keeping their resistant. They grow. Everybody knows what the hell they are. They're the entry drug into hobby. If you ask me, like.
Do you think that
Pokemon? Anything else?
Do you think that Pokemon's parent company, they're paying these female influencers just to show off the Pokemon cards, or are those chicks just clout chasing?
They don't have to, man.
Hobby.
Hobby.
Hobby
I
knows.
actually, I just want to touch on this real quick. I actually know a few of them that have gotten threatened with legal letters and even sued for using Pokey anything in the beginning of their name, because some of them have OnlyFans accounts. Some of them are not.
You're talking about the Pokehos.
Right, it's not matching up with their with their you know, with their quality of what they want. So
Yeah.
I don't think that they're being paid anything at all. I think that a majority of them are girls or women, from what I could see. And a lot of it is for attention and for clout, bro, just to, you know, to get in and to fit in. And another thing is that community is totally different outside of the cards. Pokemon is still a really huge community, but they're not being paid the way that collectibles is paying influencers to hold up a game from WADA in front of Tony Soprano's house. It's different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So no, I don't think that they're getting paid, but I do think that it's a bigger market than sports cards right now, hands down.
I don't think they're getting paid, but I do think it's a plug where these girls know that they can reach a demographic. I do think these girls know they can reach a demographic using Pokemon cards to attract I'm just going to say it, a lot of the OnlyFans target audience they want. I do think that's going on. Now, I don't think Pokemon's paying them, but they found an avenue in the market and they're taking advantage of it.
Well,
I just get these guys who aren't getting female attention to look at me with my low cut shirt with holding up Pokemon cards, and if they click the link, better for me.
I didn't know that existed. I will say one channel I do love, I'll go make a plug for, is Naked Bakers. Have you seen that one?
No.
It's a YouTube channel.
Oh, YouTube. Okay.
YouTube channel. You don't have to. It's not new. It's not full naked. It's just women who are cooking.
And they OnlyFans.
Well, it's not. I'm sure they have one, but I find that marketing very clever, man. I'm going to applaud that. You know what I'm saying? Because I find it honest. They know what they're doing. They're not misleading. Hey, you know, own it.
It's like all these Pokemon influencers or female influencers, I always see them with like low cut tops. So
again, I appreciate that more than I do the great Curator who's opening Stranger Things boxes and doesn't even know what the hell the game is, or the story's about. That irks me. You know what I'm saying? Because that's fake.
Yeah.
So a woman opening whatever, I understand it's real. She's marketing to me. I love it. It's market.
I keep seeing more and more pokey women traveling over to the dark side. I just had to have a conversation with one of my friends the other day that went to one of just 3-4 days ago that ended up at one of Steve Aoki's shows because he invited her to go there. And I told her, like, you know, I'm excited for you. I'm happy for you, but don't get caught up with the hidden hand and the smoke and the mirrors and the bullshit, because 3 months from now, you'll be pushing products. And that's the way that this is going to go, because you're not just getting invited there to get invited there.
Did you see Steve Aoki's grading music now? He's
Oh
grading CDs, albums,
I shared it.
Everything, CDs, albums, what else? But he started his own grading company. He's pushing it everywhere now. He's on board.
I feel like we need to talk about this for a second.
Let me just mention something before you get into Hobby Shark. Yeah. One thing I noticed about this, because I got into the Funkos grading, which I like that, but when somebody starts grading, there's never a standard proposed. So you don't know what is a 10. Like when he starts his grading, what is your bar? Whether it's a CD or anything, it's the first thing I question is, well, what are your standards there? And the fact he's grading, then you can go talk about this, because there's a whole bunch of interesting things around that. I'll leave it at that. Give me 1 second, guys.
I think for one, I think that grading, this is just me. I think grading is a giant fraud. I think it's a commodity. I think it's a fraud. I think if anything, people should be authenticating, right? Yeah. We want to know that something is real. Your opinion on a 1 to 10 is going to differ from the next grader that's sitting next to you and the guy that's sitting across from you. You could all look at the same card and 2 people could say it's a 10 and this guy could say it's a 9. So what is it really? Who cares what you think the grade is? The fact of the matter is that whoever's going to buy this off of you, it's going to be up to them whether they like the condition of the card anyway, and they're going to make the purchase. The question is it real? Right? If I was going to buy a 1934 Babe Ruth card, I don't care whether you think it's a 1 to 10. I want to know, is it real? I'll make a determination on whether I'm going to buy it after that. I can see the condition of it, obviously, by looking at it, but It's all like, to me, it's like, even when PSA, when you're sending them out these cards and you're getting these cards and then they're putting a declared value on it of $100,000, let's just say, and now you have to pay them more money in order to get the card sent back to you, insurance and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Why are people feeding into that?
That's true.
And now you're now, by doing this is just my perspective on it. By doing this, you're narrowing your lane to be able to resell later on. You're making your lane smaller, right? If you take a card that's worth $50 and you send it and it gets graded, and now all of a sudden it's worth, let's just say the market value now is $10,000, right? For shits and giggles, it's a serial number card. And now it's 10 grand. You just took you have the ability to make so much more money, but now your lane of being able to sell it is this big. You have to work to sell this card now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where I think everybody is getting messed up. Like, not
every grading company's making out because of that upcharge.
That's what I'm trying to say. And it's like, not everything is meant to have a grade on it. So they're selling a service.
Also, there's the reverse of this. We're placing faith in these grading companies where certain cards, we know they want a 10, or even if it's older, a vintage card, they want a low pop count on the higher grades.
Oh yeah,
they're controlling. They're controlling markets too.
I gotta say something. I have to say something. I know Zays will back me up here, and I know Raul, because they watch a lot of content. Doesn't it irk you when you see these influencers, when they go to these big shows and PSA and Beckett's on the ground, they're like, hey, I got my car, I'm gonna buy it raw. I got it right here. Let's find out what grade I'm gonna get, right? And then it's a whole thing and stuff, right? And then it's like, I've called people, I'm like, oh, must be nice getting 10s directly from there. Don't at me. Sorry, I had to say that right now. That pisses me off.
Well, you're right. In fact, let's take something. Fast forward 30 years from now, where we're gonna have more intelligence, what's going on. We're gonna look back at this era and realize that PSA 10s are very, very, their value will not be as high.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna look at how things were so, how easy this magic was. I agree exactly what you said, Hobby Shark. Grading is just someone's fucking opinion. It's an opinion. Like, here's what kills me. An autograph grade, I think it's a 10. Who cares what you think? Is it real? Mm-hmm. Is it real? Is the most important thing. Is the card real? Is the autograph real? That's all I want to know. I don't care what your opinion is. I just want to know if it's real. Now, again, sadly, the only people doing that, though, right now are Beckett and PSA. Right? Like SGC, and I hate SGC for this. Why are they not doing that? They're not doing anything in autographs. They're not investing anything in innovation. All they do is give you an opinion on the autograph and an opinion on the card. CSG is doing a little bit more, but we need more companies doing grading of autographs. The reason they won't, though, is because autographs have legality behind them.
See, I have a program guide inside that was my uncle's from the 80s. And right on the front of it, it says that there are counterfeit Pete Rose cards going around. This is probably like 1981 or 82. There's counterfeit Pete Rose cards going around and this, that, blah, blah, blah. The counterfeiting was going on back then. There's counterfeiting going on now that's 10,000 times better than it was back then. So why wouldn't you at least be offering a service to only authenticate? They don't. On certain things they will, but on everything they don't. Like Ziggy, you were just talking about the Funko Pops, and I know, Raul, I know that you have the Funko Pops back there from your wife, and you've sent like maybe one or a few in to get graded. But here's another thing about that. They're grading the box. Like really, like, let's just think about this for a second. Yeah. Like, this is what I'm talking about. It's like,
I actually have one. Let me just show you an example.
Here we go. We're going to start pumping now.
I understand the exclusive Funkos, right? It's an exclusive one. It's at a Comic-Con. You can only get it here. That's different. But to open up the door to say, hey, everybody that wants to grade every Funko, send them in, and we're going to determine it based off the box. The box that's inside of cases that are getting shipped to Walmart or here or there. If it just happens to be perfect, we'll give it a 10.
Here's a funny thing. I have one that's graded, and I graded with Pop Grading Services and PSA, and one of them, I forget who it is. There's a booger or something stuck inside on the box. You know what I'm saying? Dude, it's killing me. It's like my OCD in my mind is going like, why didn't someone just scrape that off? Why did someone leave that on the goddamn box? It's kind of like when you see a thumbprint on the PSA card. Like, you're telling me you couldn't be lazy enough to just wipe the thumbprint off? Like, I'll say that's one thing about grading companies. In my opinion, and this is what I applaud comics for, when I send it there, you should do everything that you want to legally do to put it in its best condition before you slab it. So you should wipe it down, PSA, or you should clean the box off of my Funko Pop. Why am I doing that? Why am I having to do that and get
Got to
blamed
use
for
Kurt's
all
card care.
Again, I would rather have PSA have some standards. Say, hey, when you send it to us, we use Kurt's card care to polish the card before we slab it. Great, then freaking that's wonderful. But all they'll tell you is if we can't detect it, we're not gonna stop it.
If we were going strictly based off grades here, right, and we're going strictly based off grading, and I think that we can all agree. The way that I've explained this in the past to people is that the way I look at it is PSA is like Supreme clothing company, right?
Yep.
I kind of use this. PSA is more like Supreme, and Beckett is more like Levi's. They've been around for a lot longer. There are a lot more cards that are graded. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. With that being said, would you agree that a PSA 10 is pretty much equivalent to a Beckett 9.5? And that the Beckett Black Label would be the pinnacle of cards?
Yeah.
Yes.
So with that being said, why is it, I mean, obviously it's going to be because of influencers, but why is it that the narrative is not being shifted to Beckett to get a Black Label and
It's marketing.
we're pumping PSA 10s to the moon?
It's marketing. Like you said that they're the Supreme. Why is a Supreme wrench better than a regular wrench? There's no fucking reason. It's
And
a
the
Supreme
thing
wrench.
The thing is with
PSA
PSA,
Universe too.
yeah,
Pardon me?
Is PSA in cahoots with Collector's Universe or
Yeah, they're part of
Collector's
the
Holding.
company. Yeah.
Collector's Holding
maybe
on
that?
that.
I bet you that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that if you look at Collector's Holding, PSA, and all that, you have them owning Golden, them owning Card Ladder, and then if you go on YouTube, we know that there are many people tied to Collector's Holding. I mean, you know, she collects cards. She doesn't do videos as much. Like there's Card Ladder, like I said, they do videos because Carlos does. There's that Sunday League Investors. He does advertising from my understanding with Golden. So if you have all these people, you know, tied to, you know, Collectors Holding in one way, shape, or form, you already control the narrative. And then I've also been told that Card Ladder gives free subscriptions to people. So if they give free subscriptions to people, are you going to crap on Card Ladder or PSA?
Well, here's something to add, though. You know who has more influencers than PSA? SGC does. SGC has more card influencers than PSA does. Easily.
Like who?
I believe that.
I know Dustin.
I think we can list them. I mean, there's Bobbles. Bobbles does it. Dustin does it. Lucas and Tigers used to do it, but now they do Beckett. Yeah, I know they used to, but SGC, in fact, SGC has more, and they also have something you don't even know about. Sports Card Nation uses them. Hobby Hotline uses them. I think it's Beckett, not Beckett, Bench Clear Media. The SGC has done a phenomenal, and this is what bothers me. They've done a great job of telling people to go use them, but they've done nothing in investing in that company and making them better. All they've done, they've made more wizards to give you an opinion on their card, man. They've done nothing. They used to do authentication of autographs back in the day. They don't do that anymore. They don't have a registry system. Like SGC, it does more, like I said, they do more influencing. In fact, here's what I look at. If I'm an SGC subber, every 10 that comes back, I crack and send a PSA to make money off of. Because SGC is just a pre-screener for me to use PSA. Mm-hmm. Like there's no, I'm sorry, if you love SGC because you like the slabs, then love it. But you're not putting an SGC because you're making more money in SGC. That's
I mean, the thing is, do you think SGC has a lot of people on their payroll through advertisements because of what the managing director has done in the past? I've outlined that the managing director and his brother, they were on the Mastro list of alleged shield bidding. There was,
yeah, well, they were SGC was involved with Bill Mastro and with Doug Allen all the way in the beginning, because SGC is who ended up grading George Lionel Carter's entire collection, which then Doug Allen and Bill Mastro then sold off to the public. SGC's been around for a very, very long time. They're you know, I think that a lot of people are under the impression that they emerged during this 2020 boom. They've been around for a long time.
I want to point out too, back in 3 years ago, when Peter went on, I think it was Cardboard Chronicles, and said, "Send me your slabs," there were 8 people at SGC, according to that interview. 8 people, including Peter, who at the time was a director, which means he was not a grader. Today, there's over 100 people there. Think about the quality there. all they're doing is give you an opinion on a card, and I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of what they've done as far as their growth.
But the thing with PSA, I think Retro Hoops crunched the numbers, and it seems that a bunch of these graders during the pandemic were grading a bunch of cards. They didn't have that many graders from my understanding, and they're just crunching out card after card. So yeah, we could look at SGC, but PSA, how did their quality control look like?
PSA, you're right. Their quality control's crap, dude. They're just like SGC. All those companies have done is hire wizards. I mean, the one thing PSA has is they can authenticate the autograph. And I'll point this out too, guys. Remember, it was Beckett who found the Dak Prescott autograph that was fake. Beckett was the one who did that. Like, I wish Beckett did more. I don't know what the hell happened to Beckett. I don't have faith in Beckett anymore. But they used, and this is what's scary about this marketplace, guys. There used to be good competition between one or two leaders who would keep things in balance, right? We started talking about Jeff and Sports Card Radio balance. There's no balance in authentication of autographs anymore. You either use PSA. In the Funko world, they're the only choice. When I get a Funko autographed, I can go with PSA right now. The other company, Pop Grading Service, is getting there with autographs, but they're not there right now. So there's not many choices. And same with cards. You either go Beckett or you go PSA. We need more options, man. And I'll say, you mentioned earlier, why PSA they don't use a 9.5. They choose not to because, again, it's marketing. Because they know the average individual, when my father goes to buy a card for his grandson, he buys a 10 because 10 is bigger than 9.5. He's not going to pay attention to the details. And they know that. PSA knows that. I applaud Tag. Tag is the first company who's not using a 9.5.
I feel like a lot of the old timers that I've spoken to over the years, even before any of this boom or any of this happened, they've always been against the aspect of grading cards.
You're right.
The old timers.
Yeah.
None of the old timers I've ever been around have been excited to say. They're usually very verbal and saying they don't believe in it. You shouldn't be doing it, or whatever.
And here's why. Okay, it used to be because grading was opinion, but what is grading today? Grading is a form of creating scarcity in the market.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for an opinions anymore.
Yep.
We grade cards because we want to be the first to say we got the 10, low pop count. And that's what's horrible about it. In fact, I don't see the same thing happening in Funko Pops. I do not think you're going to see people grading Funko Pops to create false scarcity. Scarcity is based on how many the collectors in that collect community want or have. It's a different world, kind of like some other community collecting worlds as well. Like, I think comic books might be similar in some ways. You know what I'm saying? They know what's out there. But in sports cards, we create a lot of false scarcity through grading only.
Well, it's like the same thing with people that collect video games. I know a lot of people that collect video games for years, and they'll be the first very, very verbal about it, that they hate the fact that things are getting graded, especially games like PlayStation, PS2, all these games, because the disc of the game, I've been in the music industry for a long time. The disc is not going to last forever.
Yep.
So even if you encapsulate it and you enclose it and you give it a 10, if you crack it out of the case 40 years from now and you go to put it into a system to try to give it a go, odds are it's not going to work. It's going to start to fall apart and disintegrate over time. That's just the way that the CDs were made. You know what I mean? Cartridges are a little bit different, but actual physical discs like CDs or Blu-rays or HD discs, not going to last forever. So when you're seeing $60,000, $50,000, $100,000 price tags on these WATA 9.6 or whatever the hell it is, you have to start to look at these things though, and you have to who is buying these is this going to eventually turn into modern art 100 years from now? Is that why we're doing this? Are you paying for the cover art that's on it? Like, what are you paying $96,000 for what?
The thing is that have any of you heard about the WATA games and the Heritage auctions hanky-panky that went down like a couple years ago? Does anyone remember that? Like some people
I heard
always
something on another channel, but I don't know the details. There's a guy who does follow the video games, and he talks about Heritage and something that they did. I don't understand it. Hey, one thing I will tell you, he does talk about that there are certain auction houses that have the right eyes on it for certain things. Like if you try to put video games on Golden, you're probably a fool, because the video game guys aren't following Golden, I guess, at this point. Like, you have to know what community to go into. And I think Heritage was known for video games for a while.
I mean, do you believe some of the sales that go on some of these auction houses like Golden? Because Go.
I'm
ahead,
just
Abby.
going to say right before you say what you're going to say, I know for a fact, and I cannot say anything about names, but I know for a fact that there were at least 3 or 4 cards that were sold at Golden, marked as sold into the public, sold, and they're still sitting in that vault. They've never moved. Fact. I won't say what cards they were. I won't say who told me, and I won't say who they were sold for. But I
Isn't
can
that
tell you
fraud?
that-
If that's the case,
Well, I heard somebody, there was a guy on, I think it was called Sport, I forget the channel now, but he was talking about not only that, but he saw cards that sell that he had bought, I guess, that were showing when Card Ladder is purchased. And he's like, I didn't even make the payments yet. He goes, so why are they reporting this as being closed? So there's a lot of that goes on where they report stuff. That's, I think, why Card Ladder is part of PSA, because Card Ladder can then validate that these transactions close. And I've always said this about Card Ladder. Why do you trust Chris and Josh to tell you a card has been sold? There's no third-party audit of Chris and Josh, right? They're not even offering that to happen. They're just telling you that they did it, so we're supposed to believe them. And now you tie to the PSA, they got the PSA name behind it. So yeah, PSA will use that, and here's the best thing, they can use that as a comp for when they upcharge you on the grade. Well, why are you upcharging me? Well, because according to Card Ladder, this card sold for this much money.
So I have a quick question on this. I mean, we're not off subject here with what we're doing. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this or not. Ooh. Can you see that there is a PSA label inside of this Beckett holder on this Pokemon card?
I can't.
Well, inside this Beckett holder, it's a Charizard. Somebody just sent me this now. I'm talking to you guys. And inside of the Beckett holder, it's completely sealed. On the back of the card, though, is the PSA label. So,
what?
Yeah.
Could you send it?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. I'll send it to you right now. It's
What's the grade?
I don't know, but it's actually when you scan the PSA barcode here, it comes back a PSA 10. So, let me send this over to you.
So you think they put it in deliberately to say that it was a PSA 10 and now it's crossed over?
Yeah, I guess it was a PSA 10 and then they crossed it over. But here's my question: is how the hell did that label get in there? Who put it in there? It had to be Beckett that graded the card. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, how do these things go on? And then when you question it, there's nobody to answer it. Everybody's
why do we assume that no one else can make their own Beckett's labs at home?
They probably could.
One thing I did find out during the boom, I did talk to the guys over who did Pure Graded X, right? And they told me they went out and bought I think it's some type of horn, some type of shoehorn device, whatever, that sonic welder or some shit like that. But there's no barrier of entry. It's not like you buying a gun. Anybody can get a sonic welder. Anybody can make a label. Anybody can make Beckett's labs.
So the thing is that you're talking about Card Ladder earlier, and regarding these sales, how on earth did they validate the Justin Herbert sale $1.1 million? That was Black Finite Prism. There's no way, if I were in their shoes, there's no way I would validate a sale of that amount, because that would not make sense.
Well, they'd have to have a barrier. Like they say that, and you have an ability to submit, and they say in there you're supposed to spend, like, I think it was a bank statement or receipt, some proof of transaction. But again, I go back to why in the hell, as the buyer or the seller of that card, would I want to report that to anybody? I don't know. So did they go out? And this is another question then. Did they go out? Are they soliciting these people and going, hey, I heard you made this transaction. Would you like to report it on Card Ladder? And are they giving them something to report that? I don't know, but it doesn't make sense to me. Why would I do it? Why are they involved? Who's watching them do it? No one knows, but everybody believes.
Here's a question for you, Ziggy. So if, say I'm selling a card and it's a high-end, really high-end card, right? Something that never comes to market. It's a one of one, let's just say. And I put it on whatever auction house and it sells for $1 million. Let's just use a round number. It sells for $1 million, right? This is stuff that I've heard in the past with different people. Card sells for $1 million, but the card actually doesn't sell. The person selling the card is also the person buying the card, right? They're paying a fee to the auction house. The auction house is then pushing it through social media. We're all sharing it like wildfire. Oh my God, card sold for $1 million. Now the card goes up for sale in actuality 2 months later, and it sells for less than $1 million, $600,000, right? The person buying it thinks that they're getting a steal because they got it at 40% less than what it just sold for. But in reality,
they're the first person.
The card's not even worth $600,000 because it wasn't even worth $1 million. Do you think that is going on?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's another point. If that doesn't happen, why does that first part happen? Why do I make a purchase to myself of a 1 of 1 for $1 million? So I can sell the number to 10, the number to 25s, the hundreds for less than, because I've created a comp that says, hey, the 1 of 1s were the million. This number to 10 must be at least a $300,000 card. See what I'm saying? So there's an impact. You don't have to be, well, he's not selling it himself. He's trying to flip it. Yeah, it is. It's the influence. Like, here's another one. Why every goddamn time a product releases is the first base card come out of PSA 10, sell for a high amount, and we all go, that's a fool. Why does it always happen? It doesn't make a difference if it happened or not. It's the other transactions after the fact. It's the wake, right? So in other words, the first Lonzo ball sells for $1,000. Now I'm selling you a discount for $500. Shit, I'll get to you for $300. That's 30% off the recent comp, man.
Because I've said, like, you know,
is a joke.
I've said, you know, it's costing you less money to pay the auction house as a form of advertising because of social media than it's going to cost you to pay advertising to put a billboard in the middle of Times Square, let's just say.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're paying far less than you would pay to have a billboard or multiple billboards for 2 weeks even, as to just pay this auction house their 15-20% fee or whatever it is that you negotiated. Since it's not being sold, it's being bought by you still. We don't need to release the names of these private sellers and buyers. Like, this is what I'm saying. It's all, and then it trickles down the same way that Ziggy was just saying, is that the 1 of 1 sold for this much, so the 1 of 25 has to now be around here, and the 1 of 50 has to be around here. Yep. And that's the way that all this shit really works.
That's how the money is made, man. And then think of it this way. If you look at stocks, this never happens in stocks. No one goes out and buys Apple for $500 and it's selling for $400 a share. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It doesn't happen that way.
No, I just had somebody ask me the other day, what was the biggest card flip that I had? And the biggest raw card flip I ever had in my life was in 2020 during the boom. I spent $35 on a Kaepernick short printed rookie card, black refractor, sold it for $625 2 months later.
Nice.
Right. I don't think that's ever, and it's not like to brag about it, but it's just to show that that's where we were at one point, where you could take something worth $35 and sell it to $625 because somebody was willing to pay it.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is the guy bought the black refractor off of me for $625. I took those funds and went and bought a blue, same Colin Kaepernick blue refractor for almost next to nothing, and profited almost $500+ off of it. But that's what I'm saying. It's just like, who's setting, not who's setting, but this is the way that they're setting the prices down for everybody.
And here's a follow to your point right there. And this is what I love to shove down the people who lie about market cap. You're right. You sold that card for $600. Could you have done that with 10 cards? No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, because that guy went, and I've given you the same price for 10, or you didn't have 10 people at the time doing that. And that's why I hate it. It's not this card sold for $1,000, so every card's $1,000. No, that one guy paid $1,000. Yeah, that means there's a trickle effect down. And again, these influencers are so full of shit, man. It's
Can I say something?
When you're seeing cards sell for active, 500, 400, 600, you have a ratio area, and then one sells for $94 at auction at eBay because somebody needed money.
Yeah.
And just so happened and nobody was looking for that card. It sold. And then you have somebody come up to you and say, oh, well, it's comping at $94 last week. Like, the fuck? Like, what are you guys talking about?
I gotta say something. Can I say something? Okay, cool. Yeah. No, you guys are hitting the nail on the head. And that's the thing. I read these comments here. I don't know who are trolls and who's actually legit, right? But people are talking about the grading aspect, right? Well, why does it care? Who cares about quality control and stuff, capitalism, all this stuff, right? Just like you guys said, 20, 30 years from now, let's see those cards with those high grades and stuff. Let's see how you move those later on. The only two people that I invest in is Brady and LeBron James. And all you guys know that that's the way I invest. Other than that, it's all crap to me, right? Especially with all the overproduced cards and whatnot, right? And then just like you were saying, Ziggs, the stocks, the crypto and stuff. And then Anthony, what you said with the card that you made off with the Kaepernick, right? People are moving money into different markets because it's smart, right? They know which ones they can manipulate or, get the most value out of, right? If you watch The Wolf on Wall Street, great movie. It's the same concept, right? With the whales and everything. The guilty aspect, and excuse my military mindset, I've worked counterterrorism, homeland security for 12 years. I get passionate about this stuff, and I don't like fake people. I don't like people who cheat people, and I don't like bullshitters. So when you start talking in this positivity aspect and who cares and stuff and the card and stuff, because you're fucking guilty. That's why you're fucking guilty, because when a motherfucker calls you out and they see your bullshit and you know that you can no longer make profit, that's when you get mad and you're holding the goddamn back. And that shit pisses me off. And I know, Ziggs, you got my back on there.
I agree.
I'm sorry, I had to say that stuff pisses me off, man.
I took a poll once upon a time, going back about 2 years ago, and I was like floored at some of the no responses to it. I said that when you are in this hobby, if you want to keep it growing and you want it to keep going, you have to leave room for the next person to be able to resell, right? You know what you're comfortable accepting for the card because you know what you paid for it. Who cares if the value of it is $100? If you want to leave room, you want to get the sale and you want to leave room, sell it for less. Leave the next person that's buying it enough room to go sell it if they want to. And everybody's like, nah, you got to get top dollar for it. And that's what made me start to look at things and go like, you guys either don't know how to fucking really how to work business here, or you're really, really in a greedy generation where you're trying to scrape every penny out of everything. Like, why would you not want this to go forward? It's the same thing I've said about people that collect, right? We're focused on money. We're focused on money. Where did all of our collecting pretty much start? Started with someone else around us that was collecting that got us into it, whether it was an uncle or father or grandfather, or you went to a card show with your friend's dad or whatever it was. It didn't start with, I have a card that's worth $10,000 and I have one.
Yeah. Well, I tell you,
we're so far gone from it.
I am a very active, well, not as active as it used to be, but Facebook groups. And before the boom in 2016, 17, 18, what you used to do was you comp a card by saying, hey, the card is selling on eBay for $100. In this group of friends of mine, comps had to be 10, 20% under that. So it wasn't even a question. You never went and go, I want $100 too. You go, hey, it's $100 out here for the group. It's $75. It's $60. You always offered lower because it was a community. You were helping people. And I saw that change when groups stopped putting the comps in there. So, well, I know it's selling for this, but it's going to sell for more now. So I got to make $100 because it's going to be $110 tomorrow. Now that's a great barometer, in my opinion, to see when the correction takes place. When transactions go back to, it's not I'm selling for what comps are. It's I'm selling to my friend at a friendly price. What do you feel comfortable with a friend? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, I don't want to sell a card to my buddy where 2 months down the road, he's pissed at me because he wasted money. I'm not going to protect him. I'm not trying to be his babysitter. But if he's like, hey, man, I like that card. It's going for $1,000. Hey, man, I'll sell it for $600. I'm only into it for $200. You make a fair deal with him. You feel good about it. He feels good about it. He decides he wants to sell it down the road because he's not into it anymore. That is what sports cards were or are about.
You guys remember the days of the Beckett magazine and there was half book and full book?
Yes.
And the standard was you sold it half book.
Yeah.
That's how it was. I had to learn. I mean, my old man, he showed you the bet. My brother and I got into it. We'd open up our boxes from Walmart or Target or whatever. He would teach us. You get the Beckett out. You look up the price of the card. This is the full book. If you sell it, this is what you pay for it. I mean, to piggyback off your point, like that's how you never sold at full price.
Yeah, and that's where grading came from too, though, because grading started being the ability when people started selling on eBay at a distance where it wasn't a person-to-person transaction anymore, where it was at book or dealer price. And when it was on the internet, they needed a third party. And that's when grading. And again, grading was not big, dude. Even when I was in 2015, 16, 17.
Yeah, dude. It
was not. Like there were people who did it. In fact, one of the Facebook groups I was in was called Slab Hut. And we used to make fun of the people in that because they're like, I don't know what idiot would pay 3 or 4x just because the card's in a slab.
Right.
And then
I remember
every idiot did it.
In the 90s, I remember like late 90s, maybe around 2000 to 2003, 4. Dealers were trying to get cards out of the slab because they didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
It was a tough sell.
And you only slabbed because you wanted the autograph to be authenticated because there were people fraudulently moving stickers, counterfeiting, and that was what it was about.
Vintage cards. It was stuff like dating way back up to the 80s where it was like, I want the autograph authenticated.
Yeah. There's a good video I just watched recently about a guy who did a video, and I'll tag you guys later on, looking at, I think it was PSA cards in the 7 generations of slabs. And first of all, I didn't know there were 7 generations. But he said, if you understand that, you can look at certain generations and know if the grading was harder or not. Like you can look at beautiful cards that have like high grades on them back then that would never grade as high now just because of the generation the slab was in.
Yep.
And again, something that, again, if you don't know that stuff, you're
I
going to
know
overpay
guys.
yourself.
I know guys that hunt for the old PSA stamps because they trust it.
Yep. Well, different graders, different wizards were making magic back in those times.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I gotta say something. Anthony, Hobby, it's time. You know where I'm getting at. So dope cards beta, Steve, using your term, is he's a big hater of AIH, and he's a troll. Ziggy, you know my background. You guys know I'm the look. I love you, alpha males, and I'm gonna tell you something about internet trolls.
Yep.
You guys have a problem with me? You can DM me directly, and I will give you my address to my gym, and you can throw gloves on.
Well, I would just say publicly debate. Just come online and chat.
No. It's annoying. These trolls drive me crazy. So you DM me, I'm ready to throw down anytime.
Yeah, but see, he can make voice here.
But here,
he'll make an excuse. He'll make an excuse. He can't make it. He's out in California. There's no excuse why he can't get on a link and come debate you right now.
Hobby, didn't you say you're gonna have a little shout out today?
We'll throw it out there. I said in the beginning of the show, I'll say it again. I got 25,000 for anybody who wants to box me at the National. Anybody who wants to box me, got 25K cash. Woo. We're not donating to any charities. I'm just gonna beat you up and take your money.
Okay, can I wear a lot of stuff? I need the money.
Would you box Shine?
I'll take a beating for the money.
I box Shine with only my right hand.
How tall are you?
How tall am I? I'm 6'2", 265.
I'm out.
I box for 12 years. I'll fight him with just my right hand.
I fight you with love for 25K, but you're too big.
Yeah, I get crushed.
Hey. I'm in pygmy mode.
Hey, Blaze.
So Ziggy, you're talking earlier about people, they're gonna get pissed if they lose money, if you sell to them at a ridiculous price. So how do you think the people are feeling right now that we're buying these Logo Man cards?
Well, it depends on who it was.
Like if you're buying all these Logo Man cards, like you'd be
I'll put
buying.
it this way: I feel worse for the guy who paid $1,000 for the LeBron James 2018 Silver Prism because he's in a freaking Lakers jersey.
Yeah,
because you are screwed. Okay, the Logo Man, I don't know. You can put that on your shelf and say it is something special. I don't know. There's only so many. You can get away with. It's an experience. There's no experience like wasting money in a card that's overprinted and somebody sold you. That's what really I think stings. And I think that's why people left the hobby, because people got lied to and misled and just, like that. I remember, for example, that year I used to donate all my cards to the Boys and Girls Club. And I remember the year that card was being graded and selling for $100-something. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Like I honestly did go back, took them out and sold them to a friend raw. Okay. And he graded them and he sold them. But I did feel guilty when I did that. I thought to myself, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But I even go back to tell you this too, man. I remember when the Patrick Mahomes cards were selling for $50, the Silver Prisms. I opened personally a case of that product with my kids and a half a case of the first off the line. I cannot tell you how many of Silver Prisms I had, but the last 10 that I sold for $100 each. And I thought that was crazy at the time that someone was paying $100 for a freaking Prism base or a Prism, silver rookie card. Mm-hmm. But look where they are today, man.
Hey, dope cards. If you're on Instagram, send me a DM on IG, and then if you want to come on right now,
AIH does not back down, man. He'll talk.
Let's talk. If you want to talk with all of us, saying that
come in the ring of fire.
If you're on Instagram, I'll send you the link to come on.
Look at these comments.
Who is that? Let's see. I want to see a troll. I want to see because they're. Oh man,
I'll be back in a minute. And I'm on Instagram, dope cards, AIH_sports. So
dope.
I don't have a call in, but you could. I'll definitely send you the link if you want to come on.
Oh no, they know how to find me, and I'm sure they can find Hobby too. Sorry, Ziggs.
He says he's no insta ho. Damn, they mad. I'm like, I'm offering. You want to
got grammar punctuation too.
Real quickly, while you guys have Las Vegas collectibles.
Okay, I'll be back in a minute.
Let me make a shout out. I'm a big fan of Las Vegas Collectibles. If you haven't already, check his channel. He does breaks. And I'll tell you, dude, he does his own community breaks. At Cost Breaks. I shouldn't be telling you guys about this because I love this guy, man. At Cost Breaks. Okay. He's not bullshitting people. he makes it personal, what breaking used to be, which was a bunch of guys getting together and opening cards. So if you're interested, all I'd say is do not screw Las Vegas Collectibles over, because he's a really good guy, new to the hobby, new father, great guy. Check out his channel. But I'm in his breaks right now. I have the Mariners, and we've been doing a case of Topps Chrome. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it.
Hey, Ziggs, I got to say, man, I've been watching your content for a while, and I appreciate the shout outs and love you give to me and other people. Like, I think that's the best thing about you is that you sit there and you don't have a bias, whether it's good or bad. You watch other card channels and you call out the stuff, but then you also give it to the smaller channels, especially I'm still small, right? But you still give love out to the smaller channel stuff. And I really appreciate that about you, Zig. So
no problem, man. I tell you, it's funny. I used to do it a lot more. Sometimes I feel like it's a curse. Sometimes I feel like people lose subs when I shout them out instead of gain them. But I remember when I was a small channel, and I'll say too, man, it's harder than ever, I think, to get subs to break 1,000. It used to be like in 2020, every channel was breaking 1,000. And I've seen a lot of great channels out there who put together a lot of great content. So I think we as a community do more of that, just sharing that, keep talking, helping each other out. Because like I said, there are a lot of great channels out there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the noisy ones are, they are who they are.
Yeah. Hobby, you got any?
Who's this dope cards? I'm just reading.
I told you he's a longtime troll. That's why I got AIH's back. I'm telling you, watch his stuff. He's the most ignorant person when he comments.
Does he have is it a YouTube or an Instagram?
I don't know. I'm blocked. I'm blocked on YouTube by him. So I left him a nice comment.
I don't like that when you block me. I mean, what's up with that? Like, you're gonna come criticize somebody and then block them?
I mean, that was my biggest issue with Great Curator.
Yes, exactly.
You would say things that weren't even out of line.
Which again, here's the thing:
you're negative.
If you're going to go to his page though, and you're going to look to pay him as a sponsor, and you read his comments, everything's positive, and you realize, well, this guy's great. The reality is he's blocked all the real comments. Do you know what I mean?
My favorite Aussie's on. Dan the Man made it on. I love
man.
Aussie's on.
The man.
What's up, my buddy? Pancakes.
I saw Pancakes in there earlier too. Shout out Pancakes. I enjoyed
Pancakes, Card Dubs. I see you guys.
Yeah, Card Dubs too. Shout out.
I think dope
Gems, Charles, I
don't understand this dope card. So
I think it's Curator's burner account.
I don't know what we're complaining. I think
it's a burner account. I really do. I think it's a burner account.
I know that we've had card porn, a few different card porn burner accounts contacting me and commenting on AIH over the last couple of days too.
Let me ask about that. Really, I don't understand why there's so much stuff going and figuring out who this guy is. Like, I heard recently, like, I guess my question is, why doesn't the law firm just call Golden, who just had his auction, and go, we're subpoenaing you, give me the goddamn information? And second question is, if you are card porn, duh, they're going to figure out who you are. So what's the next step? When they figure you out, what happens next?
Well, the thing is with card porn, the reason why, there's two things, right? The first thing is that there's a reason why this person wants to remain anonymous. And the reason why is because there are a line of people, companies, that are ready to sue as soon as they find out who it is, because this account is not being looked at like me and you or Raul. It's not a regular person. It's being put forward as a machine. Right? If you're not aligned with certain things, you're getting trashed, you're getting destroyed. So look at smaller companies, let's just say like HGA, right?
But here's my question, Hobby. How is he any different than SCR? I mean, they both have done stuff. How could you sue one and not sue SCR?
Because Sports Card Radio is not directly influencing. It's not influenced. The Sports Card Radio is not influencing ongoing sales or ongoing business. They're giving their opinion on things. Card porn. Let's just take what happened with the Spiegel brothers with the very known patch LeBron James card, right?
They actively called in and stopped the auction because they said it was an altered card.
Right. So therefore now they have opened themselves up to a lawsuit because of it, or maybe a lawsuit because of it. But you have other companies out there, like let's just say HGA, for example, right? Where they are an up-and-coming company back in 2020, 2021, and they're trying to make a name for themselves or whatever. And then you have an account like Card Porn, that every single time something happens negatively, they highlight it, but they're not highlighting the negativity that's going on at PSA. They're not highlighting the negativity that's going on at Golden, but they're highlighting the negativity at PWCC.
It's a targeted weapon. Yeah.
Right. So because they're using it in that aspect, he right has to remain anonymous, because if not, it's going to open up a bunch of it's against Federal Trade Commission rules to be doing what he's doing. And because he is not
inevitable, but it's inevitable before he gets found out. Like, there's no way he's going to stay anonymous. He's not.
And the thing is, though, is that there's so many people that know exactly who it is.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, Ken is a dummy for going on Twitter and saying, if I was a betting man, I could bet you and know for sure that it's owned by 2 people and it never got sold. So what is to stop anybody from pulling you in now and subpoenaing you and saying, hey, we know that you sold items for them. We know that you were at a break with them with another celebrity rapper, however you want to phrase it, right? We know that you know who this person is. So it's that simple.
I would just say this. If I want to sue somebody, suing card porn, like, I'll put it this way. I used to like card porn. I don't like card porn because he sold this collection. Like, I feel like he used all this publicity so he could shill his collection. If he stayed to just being a hobby watchdog, I would be a fan. Now, what he did, right or wrong, I blame Golden. Okay, if I call Golden and say you should take that off because the card's been altered, it's their choice to do the research to make the decision. If they take him because card porn said it, they could have easily posted, no, we verified that this card has been changed at Upper Deck. That's the problem is, and just for everybody's listening, the story is that Upper Deck switched the patch out. The patch, there's pictures of this card, patch before, patch after. So the novice would assume the card has been altered. And so therefore, that's why Hobby called in and said, look, you're selling an altered card. Now the story is Upper Deck says they did that legitimately. I've never seen that. But in my opinion, you want to sue anybody, it should be Golden who gets sued for this. They're the ones who are supposed to sell it. They're the ones who took it down. They're the ones who've now devalued it because they have now they've made the market perceive that it is altered by making that action. You see what I'm saying? All card porn did was scream. And he's an idiot for doing what he did, whatever. But I'm just saying, if you're listening, lawyers, I'd go after Golden, deeper pockets, and they're liable for not verifying the information and verifying the auction properly.
I kind of during all this, I mean, there's one commonality through all of this nonsense all the time, not for nothing, guys, and that commonality is Ken. Right?
I don't disagree.
Ken is in cahoots somehow with this card porn account, right? Ken is also in cahoots with the guy that his collection came absolutely out of nowhere, and he's in photos with him all over the place. Why is Ken like
I agree.
2023? Ken is reminding me of a new age Bill Mastro on a different level.
Yeah, and I'll say my thing with Ken. I applaud him for a businessman. What I don't understand is that he apparently, according to Sports Card Radio, made money selling redemptions that he never redeemed back in the 90s with some company. He went bankrupt. He made a lot of money doing that. If you did that, why are you coming back to sports cards? You know what I'm saying? Like that, I think is what I don't understand. He's got a bad history. Just move on, man. Like why you have your house on the golf course. You got your bank account. Why are you still in sports cards? You're not here.
Acres.
You're not. And here's what I mean to that, Ken. You're not making the hobby better. You've done nothing to improve it. You've only done more. You have a history for exploiting it. And now it's assumed that you are continuing to exploit it. Like you said there, my assumption is he's sitting there having drinks with somebody going, well, I'll give you all my stuff to auction. And my buddy's going to auction all your stuff off there. But this one guy selling this card, I don't know, man. That's kind of questionable. So you're right. He shouldn't have that power. I don't know.
How many of those record sales that we saw, on Card Ladder used to blast it, how many of those you think were not legit?
Well, again, legit is such what is considered legit? I can move one PayPal account to another account and call it a legit sale. Is legit paying taxes on the transaction? I don't know. So I like I said before, every large transaction has many implications that are not seen. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the transaction. Like when that Luca sold for $4 million years ago, right? Was the guy first bought it from Shy, whatever. At the minimum, he got a huge amount of publicity.
Which he just bought the card back.
Well, recently. Then he sold the card, back to Shy, whatever, right? Yeah. But my point is, who cares? Like, to you and I, as a collector, we all dream. Like, here's what pisses me off, though. If I were to open up an NT box and get a rookie logo man, I know I can't sell it for $4 million. I don't have a friend. 4.6 mil. I don't have a friend dumb enough to buy it.
Ziggy, it sold for 4.6 million. It was the sixth
Yeah.
most expensive card ever. Logo Man
Yeah.
Auto.
But that was the guy, that dude from Florida. I forget. He was featured in a PWCC video.
I thought it
And
was the alt guy bought it first. Didn't alt guy buy
No,
it?
you're talking about Rob. You're talking about Rob.
I forgot the guy's name. I did a video on him. So he and P. Ryan was talking about this dude, how he was allegedly over levered, and
The
then
new money guy.
PWCC
Yeah.
PWCC made a bunch of people sell their cards, from my understanding. They had margin calls. But this dude from Florida who had some sort of insurance company, he's buying all these cards at ridiculous levels during the high, from what I was told. So, and he bought that Logo Man card for $4 million. And then, if you believe that Shine rebought the card for a little over $3 million.
And let me just say this too. Think if you look back to that $1 million card, go look at the transactions for all the other NT Luca cards. Did they see bumps as well? The 99s, the 25s, the 20s, and you'll probably see yes. And that's an example of where a 101 goes, which really has no impact on me. I don't give a shit, but it has a trickle down effect on the rest of the market. So if I have 10 of those 99s, I can make a lot of money right there, and I don't care about the one.
I agree. We're not in that high-end market, but this is why I question those auctions, because those high-end markets set the bar.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why
all
PWCC has
people-
three. They have 3 influencers on Sunday night telling you to watch the PWCC auction. That I think is just I don't get that at all, dude. I could care less watching somebody's auction end.
Those 3 guys, are you talking about?
You have Pokey Chloe does the Pokemon auctions. Therapist does the vintage auctions. It used to be Luca Tigers and Bronze did the PWC, but now it's somebody. Jeremy does PWCC. as
Yeah,
well.
Jeremy does it with that
I
one
think
dude.
It's
he
interesting.
followed.
Therapist is interesting because he's done a very good job of growing his. And if he's listening, this is one thing I've asked him about. He goes on there and talks about how much he loves the hobby and how important the hobby is and how important it is to be part of the hobby and the community and how he gets solicitations to do marketing for people, but he only picks the best, and he's doing PWCC. My question to him is, how do you pick PWCC as somebody you want to sponsor when they have such a notorious history in the hobby?
Yep.
And that is what I don't understand with these new influencers, dude. If shame on you for, okay, you're new, you didn't know, but you've been around long enough to look at PWCC.
They know what they're doing.
Exactly. So don't sit there and bullshit me about I turn down sponsors all the time, but I only take special ones. No, you went after PWCC, just like a lot of these guys. Look, if you have a channel, I'd say call it SGC because I think they give sponsorships to anybody. I don't think there's a level of entry to some of these guys. Like they want Card Ladder's another one. I don't think they give away Card Ladder, but if you have a channel and you're going to talk about Card Ladder, I bet you they're going to give it to you for free, or they used to. Now that they're part of collectors, maybe things are differently, but I know they used to.
I've heard through the grapevine that there are people for sure, and I've seen them on video saying that, hey, Card Ladder gave me a free subscription.
Loyola is on camera saying it. In fact, in her video in 2020, she said, I have Market Movers and I have Card Ladder. I decided to use Card Ladder because it's free. The Market Movers guys didn't offer it to me for free. She says it to them. I mean, it's
so that's the censorship in the hobby. It's like, okay, Card Ladder, are you gonna, like I said earlier, are you gonna talk smack about collectors holding? No,
it's not censorship. It's just disclosing it should
disclose.
be more
I mean, people do disclose it, but if you get something free from them, you're not gonna crap on them.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just want to know. I bullshit with Rob. I like him. I've done business with him. We've done trades. I appreciate Rob. I do appreciate his channel. I will say that.
I do too.
I try to separate him from PWCC because I know some of the stuff that goes with PWCC. I do genuinely. I appreciate Rob. I can't.
I'll put it this way: Rob is a perfect example.
Enjoy his content. I enjoy him. We have a relationship. If that.
Well, ask
whatever through the hobby, but I do understand what you're saying. To me, I separate the PWCC. I understand what you're saying, though.
And let me just say this: again, I'm not trying to grill him. In fact, I've been talking to Rob for over a year because I don't want to piss him off.
Same here.
Right? But I will tell you this: when I reach out to him, his first response to me was, oh, I've heard about you, because he's close with the card ladder guys. Okay. And the card ladder guys do not like me. So I've been very careful about how I've tried to speak to Rob, but I'm simply saying, Rob, you have been here a while now. You are an influencer. You have influence. How do you answer that? I pushed Lucas Tigers and Bronze on the same thing too. They have Jesse Craig on their damn channel all the time. And I say to them, how can you tell me you don't know about Jesse Craig's involvement in Heroes of Sports? How can you not know that? Just Google it and then sit there and have him on your channel. I'll put it this way. If this was a crime, if he was doing something that was actually a crime, if he had robbed the stores, would you feel the same way? And I'm not saying we should all have this distance of he's a criminal, I should never talk to him again, but you should at least question and say, dude, do you realize that what you're representing here is a company that has shill bidded, that was kicked out of eBay for shill bidding, that has employees at it that, ran a repack that was fraudulent? Like, how do you respond to that, man?
Devil's advocate here.
We don't get better either if we continue to feed this shit. Like some of these, like we talk about free markets. In my opinion, PWCC should have died on the vine when they got kicked out of eBay. The boom kept them around. But most people who've been around here for a long time, again, if it wasn't for that boom, PWCC would have died. They really would have, guys. And we're keeping too many companies in business that shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the thing is, let me do a devil's advocate. So Luca Nation, I've been on their program twice. I do, DM Goldberg from time to time. He DMs me. And, if you're sponsored by them, you're in your right mind. You're not going to crap on the company that's sponsoring you. You're not going to talk bad about it, right?
But why did you sponsor them and tell me you're for the hobby? Where are you? Either you don't know or you don't.
I mean, I that's why I don't take sponsors, because
you become a puppet.
I get big, because then I can't have you guys on.
Listen, if you're big enough, and if you've established your own lane enough where their eyeballs are on you and they're willing to give you sponsorships, that's when you should be turning them down.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing I've always said. If your work ethic is that good, they're going to want to stand next to you. It's up to you to push them away or keep them at an arm's length distance, because that's the biggest problem, is that you have shady characters. Let's just phrase it like that. You have shady characters that are running around in the hobby, and then you have people that are building their way up and working their way up with their own following over time. And then they hit a certain level where this person now notices you and they're like, hey, why don't you come to this event? Let's take this photo together. Hold up this card. Hey, do you want to help me at this next show? And it's like, oh my God, this is so exciting because I'm new in a hobby and this is this person and I've been watching on YouTube. And in the meantime, they're using you to get out whatever it is they need to get out. They may not have told you yet, but they're going to feed you some kind of narrative that they do want you to push. Yeah, you may be able to speak your opinion and it may be able to be whatever, but they're still going to give you some type of narrative push, right? This has been my thing with, with Cage Lawyer over there with his, and I think that he is very, very intelligent guy. I've said this in the past. All right, I like him. I think he's an intelligent guy, but I think that there's a narrative that's being pushed on the back end.
Absolutely,
right. Yeah. And the same thing goes with everybody else that's out here that has a podcast. If you're seeing them chummy with all of these people, there's a reason for that. It's not just we know each other, we know of each other. There's reasons for all of these.
Well, it's funny. You just mentioned something. There is yet, in my opinion, to be a real influencer in the hobby that rises up where the people embrace him for who they are. And then we'd go with that sponsor. Sports Card Video might be the closest. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like that, like Barstool, where you have like these people who rally behind.
Because
and I don't know why that doesn't exist yet.
You can't just be like, look, I'll use me as an example, right? When I first started this Instagram journey, right? In the beginning of 2020, the end of 2019, when I started this Instagram journey, once I started to get momentum, everybody that we're sitting here talking about right now has reached out to me, asked me to do this, asked me to do that. I've never done anything, right? Never done shit. And the reason why I've never done anything is because I already know better than to take something from somebody, period. Whether it's a free graded card submission or it's a free t-shirt from somebody, I'm not taking anything. The reason why is because I get to say whatever it is that I want. You should see the people that are in my DMs and the people that respond to my stories. That's why I've always said publicly, some of you are very quiet out there. I am very vocal because I don't care. I don't change whether I'm sitting talking with these four gentlemen here or I'm sitting behind a closed door with everybody that I'm talking about. Everything that I'm saying is exactly what you're going to get. You're not getting that. They're too afraid to lose their paid sponsorships. I mean, their sponsorships or their paid partnerships or their employment or their whatever. All these people have control over them in one form or another, whether you're a creative director or a content creator that works for XYZ, or you're somebody that works for, look, me and Alt got into it because I called Alt out over that kid working for them and working all these middle deals and all that bullshit. They threatened to sue me. What did I do? Normal person would have been like, oh my God, I'm going to lose. I put the lawyer on blast and put a red clown nose on him and put him out there. Why? Because I know that you're not going to do it. There's nothing that you can do. You can't shut me up from telling people the truth. I'm only defaming you if I'm lying. If I'm telling the truth, what can you do? If we go to court and you sue me and say, this guy's saying all this about me, he's defaming my company, and I go, okay, well, here's proof of everything that I've said. And here are witnesses to everything that I've said that have done business with these people. So it's like they try to bully you into keeping your mouth shut. And if you are somebody that's coming up, they're, it's the same bullshit influence in the music industry when you first start out, and then you start getting around everybody that you see on TV all the time. And it's like, oh my God, this is so cool, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And then you're in it for 2 years and you're going, yo, what did I do? What did I just do? I just ruined my entire, half my fan base don't even talk to me anymore because I'm standing next to this person who they know is nefarious and don't like. So you don't get a fair shake. So with guys like, with Cage Lawyer, and again, nothing against you, but you have a narrative that you push, even if it's down to saying that you don't think that soccer cards are going to be anything in 30 years. That comes from somewhere. It's not just, it came out of your head and let's do a whole segment about it.
Well, say it's funny. I'll think about a few. You mentioned Cage. I think about Jeremy Sports Card Live. I loved his show in the beginning because it was just a great interview every week. And then it became something else when he started advertising. Same thing kind of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze. I liked them when they were kind of grilling, and I felt like they're kind of the hobby show. And then they started doing the sponsorships. And I feel like, what? You're on PWCC and now you're on SG. Like, I agree with you. I wish that, again, like I said, I wish that, like, I'd love for AIH channel to be 200,000 subscribers. And I wouldn't care if you had sponsorships because I know that your sponsorships are ones that you believe in or something you use. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see channels that are just picking sponsorships. You see what I'm saying? Like, the sponsor should be picking the influencer because you have the influence, not you just pouring yourself out to whoever's going to give you $5 to keep your channel going. So I'd say this too. If you have a channel out there and if you're doing your channel because you need income, you should rethink why you're doing this. Do it because you love it and let the income come later on, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Do it because you want to make it popular and then let that influence come. Like, I'm not against making money off of it and having an influence.
No, me neither.
Don't sell yourself out early. I'll give you a good example. I watch Flipping Steve. I like Flipping Steve's channel because he doesn't really promote stuff and even says it. If I don't use it, I don't promote it. And I like that. Where I see other influencers promote shit they never use. So I wish there were more voices out there who would, I don't know, make the hobby better. I saw somebody say we're all doing is complaining. I know I complain. I want to see things get better. I really do.
Yeah.
Right. I want, like, for example, I think we should have more transparency in the products. I think print run should be something we know. If we don't, we should at least be able to work together on it. I think licensing should be a little more transparent on who's got what licensing and stuff. I think sponsorships be transparent. I think we can make it a better hobby.
You got a hater, Ziggy. Jay can.
Yeah, I know. I have a lot of haters.
That's okay. We got your back.
It's okay, man. The thing is, he's listening. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
J-Can must be your boy, Chris.
And it's funny, Chris. Chris is what frustrates me again. These guys, they have some really good ideas. I wish they would debate them. You know what I'm saying? Get out there, make things better. He's talking about you want to make things better, then debate it. Talk about it. Let's meet up. Most of us, I'll put it this way, everybody in sports cards, we share more in common than we do against each other. Yeah. I mean, like 99% in common.
Yeah. Someone DM me that Chris and I share similar beliefs. I'm like, do we?
Is Dan the Cardman back in? Is he able to come in?
I don't know. He had a content. I told him that, hey, I think he's doing his lawn or something like that, or mowing his lawn. But he could come on.
He can see the future. He's in tomorrow.
Yeah. Let me see if he DM me. But what was I thinking?
I think here on the I see Chris put a thing. I think what Panini should do, they should leak out print runs right before they give up the licenses.
They're not going to do that.
Why not? Seriously, they should leak it all out right before. They can even say it was a hack. Someone else hacked them. Let it all come out.
Here's something interesting. So today, Shine posted on his story a $1.5 million bounty for Luka Doncic
I saw that.
Black 1-of-1 Prism, which was then reposted by Panini America, also reposted by Backyard Breaks, also reposted by Lowell Pullman, also reposted by Breakers Row. So this guy's very, very not intelligent. I'm just going to leave it at that. You're pretty much telling us who all of your connects are, my boy. If you're watching or you tune in ever again, you're telling us who all your connects are, and your Instagram tells your whole story. You're not very intelligent. Fucking dummy.
You think that card will ever show up? That card and the Curry. That's the other one that are both have these big bounties on it, right? Doesn't the Curry have a big bounty? The Topps Chrome, Stephen Curry 101.
Oh, he a curator. He's got me blocked, so I have no idea what he's doing over there. Giggling and kicking his feet under the table.
Hey, AIH, can you put another comment on the J-Can?
What I've been
It's the
doing.
last one, 912. I love this one, Jay. I love this one. 912. I've been in card shows and Comic Cons.
Yeah.
Put this one. So let me say this, and Ziggs and Hobby, you guys have way more experience than I do. Don't need to flaunt that stuff, man. That's like the ultimate flex. If you're gonna do something, go on AIH's channel or one of us, and just like Zigzag, talk and debate it. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna sit there and trash, one of us, but you're not gonna sit there and have an educated conversation in camera. That's what I'm saying. These guys don't have balls, man. You know what I mean?
So Jay can DM me on AIH _ sports on Instagram if you want to come on and you want to crap on us, and we could have a
the
talk.
New World Order.
It's no balls, man.
I just saw something the other day that Rob, sports card therapist, he's posted on his story, and it was about somebody that sent him a DM and was saying something along the lines of like it's been very like discouraging for him because he doesn't have a high-end collection, and it makes him not want to post any of his cards or show any of his cards. And that's why I go back to this whole thing with them pushing the value of cards and money over collecting, because that's actually what it's doing to the youth. It's making them discouraged and making them not want to get involved in this shit unless it's for high-end cards. Like, it's a little crazy here, like the way that all this is going. But somebody's got to DM Shine and tell him to delete his Instagram, bro. Somebody, please, like, bro.
It's too late. It's too late for him to delete his Instagram. I mean,
nah, it's not too late. You hit 3 buttons, bro. You put your password in. Takes 2 seconds.
I mean, we already have info on this.
Shine,
guy,
listen. If you're listening, or if you watch this, and you end up seeing this, look at me. Listen to me. Do you know how much smarter you would have been if you never went on social media ever? That's all. Just saying.
Hey, you're at 73 viewers, man. You're doing well, brother.
Yep. Awesome. All because of you guys.
Hey, Ziggs, they were saying earlier, and I remember this. I applaud you when they were talking about when you shut down Hannah. She collects cards. I applaud you. They were complimenting you earlier about that.
Thank you.
She's been pretty quiet.
She's still doing, and again, what bothers me again there is she just won't take feedback.
Yeah.
I followed her for a long time. I gave her criticism on a report she did in 2020 about she's using some art report. And I read the art report and I made some comments to her, and then she blocked me over it. So
it's this sensitive world. People cannot take constructive criticism.
Just debate it, talk about it.
Yeah.
And the hypocrisy when you sit there and say, well, I'm a mother and I'm a this.
Yep.
Well, you're also
that,
hiding
dude.
from that, So you're exploiting the fact that you're a mother. You're trying to play the woman card. And
it's like me, Ziggs. I'm an active military veteran, about to retire. Hey guys, support me because I'm military, right? It's like, no, I can't stand that stuff, man. Steve, come on, man. I know you got something to say, Steve.
I did also see a quick comment about, no, I'm not affiliate. I actually am not even doing the affiliate. I was thinking about doing Card Hedge, and I decided not to do that as well. I spoke to those guys. I wasn't going to affiliate for them, but I'll be honest, I decided not to do that either. I really just enjoy, having an opinion, and I don't want to not be able to say stuff like AIH just said. So no affiliates.
The only thing I can really contribute on this is, I got to be honest and full disclosure, I'm just not a fake person.
Yep.
I can understand why PWCC wanted to get robbed. I think Sports Card Therapist did a fantastic job when he would do his card show vlogs and his podcast. Oh, yeah. I reached out to him because I really do enjoy his content.
He does great. He does great.
And I separate the PWCC from. I want to say it like I do appreciate Rob. I understand why the hobby would look at him as valuable, because I think Rob, and like you said, Hobby, he was talking about how somebody was pretty much self-conscious about posting cards that aren't worth as much. You know, that's why I was attracted to him and his content, because I do believe he's a genuine collector.
Yeah,
And
no, he is.
He does a very good job of, in my opinion, he does a good job of doing content based around collecting. Sure, he's flipped at shows. I mean, I flip at shows and too. I used to do it. And I understand the criticism on PWCC, but I understand why Rob was a hot commodity, why people wanted to sponsor him, because I think he's done a great job with his channel and his voice. But I do understand the criticism on PWCC.
Yeah, Rob
Yeah,
is.
I applaud him for what he's done. He definitely has a good show.
And
I
he's
think
transparent. He discloses it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did talk about that in his video. He did.
What's that?
about PWCC.
Yeah, he did say that, hey, I'm going to be taking this journey because, you know, I like vintage, and PWCC, you know, offers a bunch of vintage cars or something like that. He said something like that in his video. So
And
That's what I mean.
That's the thing
It's
that I
not a
enjoy.
fake thing from him. He's not pumping something that he's not. He's been doing vintage and talking about vintage and had vintage roundtables for some time now. So
He has, but again, I'll just put it this way. I'm curious, did PWCC come to him? Did he go to him? I really don't care. I don't care. I'll just put it this way. In the vintage world, he is not one of the top people I'd even think about for vintage. I mean, nothing like top 100 channels.
that's why I say I can understand why he was attractive.
Well, the
Because
thing
I
is,
think when
because he
he's-
says
when he's-
stuff that he says, like, I'll give you an example. He says stuff that I would question his experience. As an example, part of his Wolfpack guys, so some of the guys who made the trade, the 2 Larry Birds, the guy traded away a Tiger Woods autograph for 2 Larry Birds. I don't understand that. Like, if that was my friend, I'd be like, dude, why are you doing that?
I'm not.
So-
I don't know all this.
Again, it's not important. My point is Rob is seen as a leader in the hobby. Why? He's been collecting cards since 2020, man. Why would PWCC pick him? Because he's an easy person to influence people who don't know anything about cards. He knows, like, if you went after a real guy who has vintage experience, first thing they're going to say is PWCC, fuck you. You're part of the trimming scandal. And I'll give you an example. Baseball collector Mike, who's baseball collector, who's part of Bench Clear Media, that's a vintage guy. He runs a vintage channel. He's vintage in and out. There's a whole John Mancini, vintage guy. None of those vintage guys would touch PWCC as far as a sponsorship. As far as I'm concerned, I might be wrong. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but there are a lot of other people out there that I'd pick. You know what I mean? And I'm also interested why, like, they were using Jeremy for a long time, and Jeremy with his guy Adam, they are much more knowledgeable than what I've seen just watching. And again, I'm not trying to be mean on Rob at all. I just don't understand the relationship there. Like, to me, I think Rob went to PWCC and probably pitched them would be my assumption on that. Again, don't care, but
I think that, I mean, just the way that I can gather it, I haven't spoken to him about this, obviously, but because he's focused on the vintage cards, I feel like there is a small circle of those vintage people, right?
Yeah.
You know, a couple of them, I'm not going to start mentioning names, but there's a couple of them that are in a circle, as well as maybe a local shop that's in New York City that's within that circle as well. And I think that is the reason why they may have put the focus into Rob, because his podcast he's very well spoken. He's soft spoken. He does highlight some of the good things with the vintage. So I think maybe they were hoping the trickle down will come, you know, to the youth and whatnot with it. But I do enjoy his show. I do think that he highlights some good stuff. It gives me a good opportunity to see some of the vintage cards that some of these guys do have in the hobby. But the PWCC thing is always
I would say this.
shady. I mean,
I think I understand what you're saying. Maybe getting in 2020, there's probably others that are more knowledgeable. But I think what he's done in such a short time with his brand and his name, I can understand why people would want to sponsor him.
I mean, here's something I think that people don't know.
I understand what you're saying as far as the longevity, and maybe there's people that have been involved longer, certainly probably could be more knowledgeable. But in the short time frame he's been in, I think, just my opinion, and I'm biased. I have to admit I'm biased. I enjoy his content. I think he's done a good job of growing. And what I appreciate about him is he's bringing others along with him. He that's something that's kind of unique. You don't see many content guys who are willing to extend that hand and involve others in the come up. And that's what I really appreciate that about him.
It's interesting. I look. It's funny. He's made some comments to me that I found interesting. He made one about I forget what it was. I don't want to misspeak here about kind of talking down to smaller end collectors one time. If that makes sense. But I understand. He's an interesting follow. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think one time, I mean, he's usually sent me nice messages. I think one time he was saying that, I think it was directed towards me. Like, sometimes people are going too hard after card porn. Okay, you've made your point, but, enough is enough. But
yeah,
for me,
he's definitely one of the crowds who'll tell you positivity. I don't want to talk about negativity, right? He's hung out with the Curator and had him in his, on his channel and stuff. So, again, I'm not against him. And I'll put it this way. I've asked to collaborate with him. He's called me. He has my phone number. I don't have his. He calls from a blocked number, so I can't call him back. I've offered to get on conversation with him. I specifically asked, talking about the PWCC thing. So it is what it is, right? I'll put it this way. He clearly is doing what he's doing for money, right? If he wasn't making money, I don't think he cares as much about this. I don't do this for money. Right, he has a plan. He's well thought out. His seasons, 50 shows make a season. I think it's great. That's wonderful. But again, like I said, doesn't pass my sniff test. I guess I'll leave it at.
That's fair.
Makes sense. All right. What else should we chat about today? Let's look at some of the comments.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's get into some of these comments here and see if anybody has anything to say other than
all these people are talking shit. Or is anybody joining?
Yeah, I mean, like, all these people talking crap. I've invited them on. They don't want to come on. So, like, I'm open for a conversation. I'm all for open ears,
man.
And yeah, I see Charles's comment here. Let me say this too. I did go to the great Curator and talk to him at the National, and he did seem like a great person. My biggest criticism with him, dude, is he's a jerk to people. You make comments, and then you're not going to listen to someone else's opinion, dude. It's just rude.
Curator, you're a dick, and I'm keeping the same energy when I see you in person.
Yeah.
You're a dick.
Hey,
I would say to him again, if I saw him again, I said, dude, we talked, and you said you're going to take me off your block list, and you continue to run. That's just not. I don't know. He is who he is.
Well, he is, because remember, I'm in the Southern California area. I'm in LAOC, and he's not liked. I've heard about bad deals. I've heard he goes in and uses the term tenderize, right, which is very weird. He goes into LCSs, whether he's pumping PMG, Star Wars, or whatever. He goes in there and tries to get deals off people. The card show people. Let me tell you something, Zix. When I was at my card show today, I saw the same people because it's a very small group of community, right? Just like we were talking about the whole territory thing and whatnot. They can't stand the influencers. They don't want the video cameras and that stuff because they want to keep the card shows, organic to that, right? Mm-hmm. So when they see the influencers, all that stuff, they can't stand that stuff, man. And it's like the Curator, no one likes him, man. That's why he's up there.
It's really awkward at these bigger shows when you see these guys running around with the content cameras. I went to the Midwest Monsters and Fishers, and I went with a group of buddies, and they all set up. None of them do that content, and it's weird when you're on one side of the room and you're looking at the other side of the room, and it's like social media heaven.
Yep.
It's a totally different vibe just from one end of the show to the other, because it was like the way the show was set up. It was like all the content and cameras were on one end, and it's almost like the party and the pros. We were over on the pro side with no content, no. It was more even keeled. It was genuine, and a lot of guys look over on that camera end and we're making fun of them. Like, look at the puppets dance. Look at this. And then the camera goes off, and it's just like they go to this like totally different person. I don't know. I've done deals on camera with content guys, and I've had good interactions. But when you watch from afar and you see it, it kind of takes you out. And you're like, man, this is what it really looks like behind the camera. Yeah. YouTube's it's like what my one buddy says to women. He says, "You sell them a dream." And that's what this content is. And it was weird because you could see on one end of the show, it was everybody that didn't do the content, and they put all the content guys on one other end of the show.
Yep.
Bro,
It was
they're
a neat observation.
bunch of camera whores. That's it. Their
This
thoughts.
is going
I think that's probably any.
I remember when I was calling out the Star Wars pump and dump, like almost a year ago. People just went after me. It was crazy. Like
Well,
people
you're
on
right,
YouTube.
because look at Star Wars today. Like I said, no one's buying those super factors at $16,000 anymore.
Yeah.
Yep. Completely agree.
People were doing videos on me. People like
Zig, that's
started.
what makes me suspicious about that sale, bro. It's like it's two guys with cameras and brands and content, and they both want to market. They both want to get into Star Wars. That's why I asked that question.
Well,
It's like,
I bet you
is that a real sale?
he overpaid for it. I'll put it this way. I guarantee you Curator got more money from DAPS. And I'll put it this way. I bet you DAPS wish he'd get that sale back.
Yeah, he tenderized him. He used his
Oh
own
no,
camera.
man, they look pretty happy at that little art gallery Star Wars social thing that was going on the other night. LT was sending me.
Yeah, I'm not blocked yet, Ziggs, by the Curator, so he may eventually block me. But I'm
Well,
I'm
DAPS
the
puts out a ton of Star Wars content. I mean, he definitely since he had that thing around his neck, he is the #1 Star Wars
That's what I
promoter.
was just going to say. That's what I've noticed, and that's what really irks me on the content. If you notice what a lot of the younger content is centered around, it's pump and dump, the hot commodity quarterback with low data, no longevity in the market. We can pretty much name our own price. In the niche things like the Star Wars and the Marvel PMGs, like that's where I don't want to get too, because I don't want to bring his name up and keep beating at that. That's why, like with the vintage thing, it doesn't bother me because there's data and there's a lot of market. You can see the data that goes into vintage. You're not going to pull the wool over people's eyes doing vintage. I mean, you can. There's ways, but like
See, I never got
watching vintage sales, like there's enough data and longevity in the market. You can see if something's wrong or something's fishy.
So here's my thought on vintage.
These
Though.
niche markets that have no longevity and low data, people are pumping the shit out of this. They're getting away with it.
But say vintage to me, and most vintage people tell you this: vintage isn't the number on the card. It really is about the eye
it's
appeal.
the centering. It's the
eye appeal. So that's why I just don't get it. We're like a PSA 7 isn't equal to a PSA 7 in vintage. Vintage to me is like I can't. It's not as interesting to me. It's a totally different. It's subjective. We're like
Right.
You can't tell me that a PSA 10 Luka from 2018 is different than a PSA 9 Luka. No, it's not. They're the damn same card. One has a 9 on it, the other has a 10 on it. That's all the difference.
Yeah, I would agree on modern, especially absolutely.
So that's why I don't know. I just never. You're right. You can't pull the wool over on people in vintage, but there is definitely a lot of arbitrage in vintage. You know what I
For
mean?
sure. It's yeah. As far as the evaluation, I totally understand. There's fours that'll sell for 7 prices because of the look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it looks good. It's appealing.
Yeah.
But I would again say like that's where I it's not like this new wave boom thing where it's like let's get the new court. Like people were running to Mosaic Football to get a Brock Purdy card to flip it so they could get to the first. They wanted to get rid. They wanted to sell the ticket first.
But they were
leave the
because
next
they
person
could.
with the bag.
They did
There's no
because they
data.
could.
They were pretty disappointed when he got injured. That
And again, that's our problem. That's because they could. You see what I'm saying? Like we have to stop doing that. Like why are we buying that stuff? I don't understand that. Like who? Like
Who's
here's a
buying
question.
it?
Exactly. Who
Yeah,
do you
that's
know
true.
who is out buying base Purdy cards? I don't know a single friend of mine. I know people have sold them,
Right.
but who the
I
hell is
ripped
buying
one.
them?
I mean, are they real sales?
I know
I-
the
yeah,
Mosaic got hot.
they are.
Mosaic
They are. Somebody's
people were
buying
looking
them.
for the Brock Purdy's. I do know that Mosaic
Yeah.
was hot because it was Brock Purdy's product. You know what I mean? And he was the guy at the time.
Well, part of it too was that the class
Mhm.
sucks so bad, right?
Thank
That
you,
you had
baby.
nobody who was doing anything as a rookie. It's like, who are they going to? Was Pickens right, or was Pickett who was the quarterback from
Pittsburgh, yeah.
I got to mix up the wide receiver and the quarterback, but you see what I'm saying? There's no one else that was doing anything last year. So when Purdy did something, it's like it got all the breakers' attention. They could go, "Wow, look at this hit!"
And the fact
They
that he's
did.
not, I don't think he's in a lot of product. I don't know if he's in
No.
prison at all. That's why I think
they're going to
Mosaic.
pump the crap out of him now.
Hey, I got a quick question on this. Does anybody know where you can buy subscribers? Because I'm willing to take a channel and buy subscribers on that channel just to see. To test
I'll
something.
DM you. People like comment on my YouTube like, "Hey, you could buy subscribers." I
Yeah, so
obviously don't do
I
it,
have a-
but
I have another channel. I will do that as a test. I'll even document it on YouTube. We'll talk about that later on.
they'll kick you off if
Well,
you
Well,
admit it, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
But send me.
you could get suspended if
For-
you are buying and they get caught. But then technically DAPS should be,
YouTube will kick me off.
they could, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Hobby, you got any insight? I know you got to have
Second,
some.
gentlemen.
Well, I was going to say something about YouTube with followers and hobby and this and that. So we all do know that the one of the two people that owns Whatnot used to directly work for YouTube, correct?
No, I did not know that.
No, who is this person?
If
If you don't mind sharing.
it's the guy with the glasses. Hold on.
So
let me
he
see.
understands the algorithm crap then.
It is. There's two guys. It is.
Do you think they're squeezing their starfish because Fanatics is going to build a streaming service?
I think that's what this whole thing has been about the last 2 years with PSA, with Golden, with Whatnot, with everybody. I think it's that everybody's trying to grab as much money as humanly possible because they know what's coming.
See, I think
They
that's
know what's coming, and they're not going to be part of it.
I don't think they're going to build one. I think that was a threat they made to try to get one of these companies to sell cheap. Because there's 4 out there. In my opinion, none of them are really great. Whatnot's probably the market leader, right? But I have a feeling like there's no intellectual property in streaming sales. So why would you pay a lot of money for it? You're just buying the customer base. You know what I mean? And Fanatics already has a customer base. So I do think that's interesting. I look forward to seeing that market change. I look forward to direct consumer on sports cards.
Yeah. So the thing is, going back to Whatnot, the Backyard Bros. So sports card.
not to cut you off, but yeah,
Yeah.
Grant LaFontaine from Whatnot used to work for YouTube as their product marketing manager.
Interesting.
Huh.
Oh yeah, going back to Whatnot, and so the Backyard Bros are on Whatnot, and Sports Card Radio was, talking about how that dude Grant, I think his name is, he was buying into a bunch of spots, from my understanding.
Yeah, he's buying into his own breaks, I think they were saying.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing that. Yep.
See,
So like
here's the
how
problem.
rigged?
Yeah, nothing
Most
nefarious about that.
Most breakers do that. They just don't do it publicly. Okay,
I
what I
was
mean
going
by
to
that
say,
is
yeah, I bet
most
you
of them,
that's more common than we think. It's just
most of them
why
have a
would you
whale
ever just
account
Yeah.
that they'll clear the board for them. Okay, so in other words, when the break doesn't fill, all of a sudden the break fills. It's because they have whale accounts that are filling them for them. They're just stupid that they publicly said they're filling their own spots. That's what I think is shocking. All right, but I know most breakers will not publicly be in their own breaks because it does look hanky panky-ish. It's just that how dumb would you be to tell people I'm in my own break? But a lot of breakers are in their own breaks. Don't be fooled by that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm like, how is Fanatics going to deal with this in the future? Are
They
they
need to
going to buy
license
their
it.
own breaks?
Well,
You have to think though, how many smaller channels, smaller LCSs that do breaks and stuff, like they don't have the audience to fill these constantly. You probably have a lot of people buying into their own breaks.
Well, let's go back to what breaking is, first of all, right? If the 6 of us wanted to break open a box of cards tonight and we want to split the cost, we can do it any way we want to. And I could say, hey, I got this box here. I'm keeping the good teams for myself. I'll random the rest of them out to you guys. We can do anything we want to.
Yeah.
And it's that concept that they're expanding on. And that's where there's this gray area. So it's hard to, control or regulate what you can and can't do. Buying your own breaks, it's ethically, it's frowned upon. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think Fanatics won't care. If people are going to fill them, people are going to buy them. Like another comment I make too, I love breaks. I'm in breaks all the time. I mentioned Las Vegas. I only break with people who I like or that have good prices or that I know. I don't break with just because they're a big company or because they've got because it's backyard breaks. I would break with, I'm curious, has Sarah started her breaking channel yet? Sarah from Backyard Breaks?
Is that the girl that left Backyard?
Yeah.
See, I'm not in tune with the breakers. I don't know all that. That's never been appealing to me.
See, I'm with the underground breakers. I do most of my breaks with Facebook breakers, and I'll tell you they're the greatest people because most of them are doing it at or near cost.
Right.
You're not trying to hose you on stuff, right? They're not flashy. They're just opening cards, and the guy does it. Like I've been working with one guy, I think it's Bargain Breaks. Pete, he's been doing this for probably, 10 or 15 years. It's become a business for him because he still does it at home. But he gets cases. He's very real. He's honest with you. Have a great time. I love breaking. And to me, I think it's the best way to get cards for me. I don't recommend to everybody. You have to know what the hell you're doing, what products to buy into, what teams.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
So Leighton uses whale accounts. Absolutely. Leighton's a perfect example. I'm banned at Leighton Sports Cards, so I can talk a little bit about them. because I caught them.
Why are you buying them, or why did they ban you?
So I, at a short story, I was at a break where I made a trade in the break. The trade goes down at the end of the break. I ended up winning a card that was a dual auto, and I ended up getting the card because I got the break team. And the guy then complained about it, said he didn't make the trade. Turned out it was one of the whale accounts, and it made this big fuss. This is back in 2017. And I basically called Leighton out on it because I said, here I'm buying. You're basically favoring one of your big accounts, this guy named Owen. And I got banned for calling it out at the time. And I will tell you this, Leighton he ended up buying the card for me. He made sure I got the card I was supposed to get. I had all the witnesses, everything was on camera, but it was a case where you could see there was complete favoritism to somebody who was spending a lot more money than I was in the break. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is that if this is going down, like, what is Fanatics going to do to deal with this?
They don't, nothing right now, unless they really are going to license and take responsibility for breaking. They don't care. And for the most part, you understand, the manufacturers sell to the distributors because they're done is they wash their hands once it leaves their building, right? The product's been sold, they're happy. Then it became the distributor's challenge to deal with it. If you move distributors out of that business and now they're responsible for selling it, they might care a little bit more, and then breakers become their distribution. Now, do they get a lot of complaints at the breakers that become a headache to Fanatics? And do they have to license the breakers? Maybe. If the complaints stop at the breaker like they stop at Whatnot, they don't care. If Whatnot ends up becoming the distribution model for Fanatics and they're getting their paychecks, but Whatnot's dealing with all the customer complaints, it all depends, right? It's going to go where the customer complaints, I think, where the Better Business Bureau and that feeds back and press on that pain point.
I'm just thinking out loud. So we know a lot of hanky-panky goes down with these breaks. And when Fanatics does take over, I mean, don't they have people like on their inside watching, channels like ours and, Sports Card Radio and the list goes on? Like, don't they know about all these problems, or are they just in the blind? Because
again, why do they care?
Yeah, because no one.
I think it's a matter of why would they care?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not going to look into.
The only thing they would care about is someone's back in the day, they used to get upset when breakers would open products early. They weren't allowed to do that, and you could get in trouble for doing that, right? Or if they misrepresented the product, they'd get involved. But for the most part, as long as the product's selling, they don't care.
Wow. Do you guys know Fanatics is worth $31 billion?
I know, which I don't understand that valuation because
where are they getting the valuation?
Right, I'm trying to look it up right now because they have
a bunch of companies, but like you could throw any valuation up because they raised certain amount of money. So they say, oh, this is what 5x, 10x of what they raised. I don't know how they come up with it.
Most of their valuation is based on licensing. I don't think they have very much intellectual property.
Well, that's what I was saying about Whatnot. Whatnot is aiming for. I don't know if it's this summer or next summer. I had said it a few months ago that they're aiming for a $24 billion valuation coming up soon.
They were trying to IPO originally. I don't know if they're still going to be trying to do it because the market's crappy. No,
Whatnot. Oh, Whatnot. That's right.
The Whatnot founder was on Jeremy Lee's channel many, like last year or 2 years ago, whatever. Gave a pretty good interview about how they started, what they started with, how they're growing. But my thought has always been, well, what makes you special? Like, what they have is marketing right now, brand awareness. But there's nothing
like eBay
that's unique.
Well, eBay does the same thing, Ziggs.
eBay's just now started it though.
They have. I'll get notifications from random. Yeah. I told Raul this. Some random.
No, yeah.
Mojo, whoever. And it says they're breaking on eBay right now.
I can tell you the main difference between Whatnot and eBay though overall, and it's a very big difference. eBay will side with the buyer when it comes to a discrepancy. They're going to side with the buyer. Whatnot,
seller,
100% of the time is going to side with the seller. They're not siding with the buyer.
Are they going to side with that chick that was taking her top off?
I'm going to be honest with you. I actually had a conversation with them about that they were not aware of that and that they needed to look into it and whatever was going to happen. They couldn't let me know, but I did make them aware of that because I was like, this is the type of shit that you guys are going to want to be doing because they gave me an invite to come back to the platform after they kicked me off of the bullshit that happened between me and with Chris with Rip and Wax that had nothing to even do with Whatnot. So anyway, they invited me to come back and I brought that to their attention. I was like, listen, I'm not coming back here or driving attention to this website, if this is what you guys are like turning this into like a soft version of OnlyFans where this chick takes her top off and all of a sudden you can get tips. Like, I'm not.
What?
You don't know that, Steve?
Yeah, you missed it, man.
You missed
Crazy,
it.
bro.
Wow.
I'll send you the post today.
There was a chick selling with her top off.
Yeah, and she was
It wasn't
accepting.
cards, though, right?
Somehow they ended up accepting tips.
I think it was Funko
Nice.
Pops, actually. I think it was Funkos.
Yeah, Funko Pops. Yeah. It
Funkos
was
are notorious on whatnot.
Opossum Bud did a video on it. It was pretty
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh, you know what? I do remember that. I do
Yeah,
remember that now.
yeah.
I think you did send me something, Raul.
Yeah,
I think you did.
He's a great channel. You should get him on sometime, man.
I'm not a Pokemon person, but
I know, but here's the funny thing. What goes on in that world echoes this world.
yeah,
You know
maybe,
what I'm
I'll DM him and be
Because
like, hey,
he got upset
Like
with
what?
the whole Kirk's cut. The people were waxing Pokemon cards in his group as well. He got upset about that. Flipping or something. It's funny. Whatever happens in that market happens in our market too. Just
yeah,
takes a
I mean,
little
like
time.
he
It's true.
called out Logan Paul with some of the things that he was involved with, and I think none of the Pokemon people. Someone DM me about this. None of the Pokemon people. They were looking at Logan Paul. They're looking at Mealy Pops. They were looking at Card
Shine.
Tribute. Yeah, no one looked at Shine, and I'm like, I'm getting all this info on Shine. I'm like, what?
I mean, how weird is it that Shine was the one that sold Logan Paul the Illustrator card?
Yeah.
The one that he wears around his neck.
Yeah.
That came from
Wait.
Shine.
What happened to Mealy Pops? Are they in business anymore? Because they've gone dark, man. They used to be on all the time. They were in slab
I think
stocks.
they're still in business.
They are. That guy's quiet. You don't hear him
who do
anymore.
you- who do you really think
Indiana
switched
a couple
out
times
those-
I went to that Midwest Monster. They were set up in Indiana.
Who do you think put those
times I went to
GI
Midwest Monster.
those GI Joe cards in that box?
It's
put
definitely
it in
Jeff
there?
Wilson's kids, man. You see the video? That was a great video, by the way. I thought that was clever.
Hey, I wanted to ask about that. Ziggs,
Is it illegal to do that? Think about that. Is it illegal to put cards in the wrong pack?
No, I don't think so.
I think it's just the misrepresentation of the sale, but putting the cards, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how can you prove which person went through that box?
Fingerprint DNA, that bitch, man. You know he left some DNA on that.
Call the forensics team.
There's got to be some DNA on that box.
Fingerprint that bitch.
I personally think that shit was all set up for.
There's a hair follicle. There's something in there. I don't disagree. with you.
Forensic Zig on the
Explain,
spot.
explain,
Forensics.
explain why you think it's set up, Hobby.
Because there was too much attention on the box opening. It didn't
Yeah, I
make any
agree.
sense.
Yeah,
Made
why
no
would
sense.
why'd they do it live? Why wouldn't they have
Not only
recorded
did
it?
they do it live, but they were building toward it for like
Yeah.
weeks. It made
Yeah.
absolutely no sense. So then all of a sudden they do it live, and there's GI Joe cards in the box. Boom! Hobby explodes. Everything gets
And
shared.
there was concern about it before, right? Weren't people kind of calling it out? What's it, Pokemon? Some dude?
Rattle Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
it
wasn't
had
like-
to catch noise for them to open that case.
Like I'll put it, the opening at the National, the kid that opened the Prism box, that was true surprise. Remember that one? The kid
You're
opens
talking
a
about
Prism.
with the was the
The kid-
quarterback they pulled, right?
No, there was a
the
kid who was going to open a Prism 2012
Oh yeah, I
box.
saw that.
He
on
opens
break.
it and he's shocked shitless. And another thing he did too, he paid everybody in that break out of pocket, which I thought was great. But he does a video talking about how he got that box. But that one you could tell was not staged at all. Like they were so shocked about that.
What did he get, Ziggs?
Yeah, what'd he pull?
There was not Prism cards. There's something else is in there. I forget
Yeah,
what's
it was
in there.
okay.
something else
Yeah,
in
he
the box.
opens up a box and he's paid a lot of money for it. The National, he's gonna do a break on it, and it was something else. If you do Prism basketball fake break or something like that, it should come up in Google.
Yeah,
or
I
YouTube.
remember seeing that.
Yeah.
But the thing about the GI Joe cards being inside that Pokemon box, I want you guys to just keep something in mind here that when Logan Paul posts a video to his YouTube, it's being monetized. How
Yep.
much money do you think they made off of just that one video clip of him finding the GI Joe cards in the box?
Yeah,
Would you say that it almost could have paid for the box?
I don't know about that. It's not that the YouTube money, but all the other publicity in it. And it's I'll put it this way: you saw he did a he did a Super Bowl commercial. Did you guys see that? Logan Paul was in he was in a Super Bowl commercial for his drink, the beginning of the Super Bowl.
For the
yeah.
drink?
Yeah, so think about
Prime.
that.
Yeah, that's what it was. You know that John guy, you know, that craps on you, Ziggy, and craps on me?
Yes.
Yeah,
John
so
Sweeney
he,
did whatever.
Oh, Sports Reckoning?
yeah,
Yes.
Reckoning. He
My
changed
favorite.
the channel. Yeah, your boy, LT.
I don't know why he doesn't like me.
He doesn't
All
like
people
me
hate.
because I don't talk about Michael
His
Jackson.
Michael Jackson story. That's
Yeah,
what he
Michael
uses it
Jackson.
for.
But we,
So,
give him more time. Anyway.
Record, John, I agree with you. I agree with you.
No,
I agree.
you
I
guys
agree.
know what he does, right?
You agree with what? That he
actually
curses me
thought
out
he was
and
one
Ziggy
time, I
out.
was listening to him, and I'm like, you know what? He makes a lot of sense on
Look,
that. On
Look,
the
so
Michael Jackson.
let me break it down. Ziggs, I know you've seen the video. Same through Raul. He makes good points. The issue is he came from the music industry. He wants to talk about Diana Ross as Michael Jackson's biological mother. Got it. What he does is he uses the card niche. He goes in and makes a clout and hey, look at this title. Ziggy looks like this and Raul is that. And then he goes halfway and he goes into the Michael Jackson story. And it's like, dude, you had so much momentum. And it's like, what does this have to do with cards?
Also, if we all agree with him,
He's gonna do a crap video on you now, LT.
but also, so what though? Like, if Diana Ross is his mother, so what? Like, what does that do?
Isn't Barack Obama's real
Does
dad?
it change the value of my sports cards? Can I
I'm
make
not
more
sure.
money?
He's just using the card to get his message across. I think that's what he's trying to do.
And again, I'm not going to argue with him. Like, dude, you could be absolutely. In fact, it was funny. I was thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking, are there any people left alive that could prove that with DNA? Because didn't Michael Jackson's daughter just die recently?
I don't know.
Somebody's family just died.
No, you think wasn't it Lisa Marie Presley?
Lisa Marie Presley died.
Elvis's daughter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But who could you get, like, after he said that, could you get some DNA from somebody in the Michael Jackson family and some Diana Ross DNA? And could you find out? Is there a way we could verify this?
Yeah, exactly.
I think his
we could
research is
we could
right.
buy some relics. You know what I'm saying? Like, buy a Michael Jackson relic, buy a Diana Ross relic, a game worn relic, scrape it for DNA. We send it to 23andMe or Ancestry.com.
Like, serious question. Would you guys buy a triple logo man of Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, and Smokey Robinson?
Smokey, that's who I was trying to think of.
Triple logo man.
I need not to be a logo man. It's got to be something else, man. Like,
like I don't know what they were back in the day. Logo man, I don't know.
Yo, if I can get a piece of the glove, I'm with it. I'm buying.
I was thinking glove. I was thinking the same thing, glove. But what does Smokey have and what does Diana have that I'd want? Like a piece of her dress and a piece of his shirt. I don't know.
If I can get an Elvis curl, I'm buying that.
The DNA.
So I got a question. I've been dying to ask Ziggs on this. And Zig, this is not to call you out or anything. You guys know how I feel about Jeff Wilson, and I'm sure the other three in here. Ziggs, I know you defended Jeff Wilson in the past. How do you feel about him and everything today with him and the card stuff? Because I'm really curious to hear your take and the other guys.
I'll tell you, I've and just to be clear, I've been friends with him. I was an admin in his Facebook group many years ago. I've always had a communication. I'm not happy. I don't know. I'm disappointed that he's not done more for the hobby. Okay, I put it that way. I also will still say if his worst thing he's done is the PPP loans, there's worse people in the hobby. Now I will agree that he's not the best influencers, giving bad advice, but he listens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm neutral to him. He's not a friend of mine, but I'm not going to shy away from him. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you an example. He reached out a while back and offered to give me a call, and I text back, said, give me a call when you can. And we never connected. So we don't have anything in common. Like, I'm not helping him. He's not helping me. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I don't see him as a villain. You know what I mean? Like, there are worse people in the hobby. And I hope, if anything, him and Sports Card Radio make the hobby a better place. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll go back to earlier. If they could bring attention to the Panini and getting, hit tracking and getting people to get bad people out of the hobby or scamming kids, those are all good things. Mm-hmm. And what I will say again, if you look at Jeff, when Jeff came on board back in 2020, I'll tell you this. I was, again, very active in Facebook groups, and a lot of people did not like him because of his tone on investing in sports cards, okay? It was almost like a bad word. No one said investing in sports cards. People didn't put money around it. And I became active in his Facebook group. And one thing I'll tell you, too, is that he listened to me when I was in his Facebook group and pushed him about, let's not sell in here. Let's make it about information only, make it for everybody. He was always listening. And that's something I always appreciated about him. So in his defense, that's why I've defended him. I do feel like he does listen to people. He does listen to everybody. And he's made some bad choices on people he hangs out with. Like I said, he does stuff with the DAPS and Curator that I think are stupid because I don't like what they're doing. But they're the worst people, in my opinion.
So the thing is, you mentioned DAPS and Curator. Yeah, I don't understand him why he, tags along with Curator. But then the other day, he was promoting that ISI grading company or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
tied
yeah.
to that alleged card trimmer, Kuntz.
Which
How is
again,
it-
I'll tell you, I didn't know that. Like I saw those guys ISA grading at the National, and they were packed. And I'm like, who the hell are these? And I've seen that guy, like you said, on Jeff's channel. And I think the same thing. Like, Jeff, do you not know who these people are? Like their relationship? And maybe here's a sad truth, guys. If you look in the hobby, you're probably 2 or 3 degrees away from a criminal. If you think about the Bacon 7 degrees of separation, you're probably only 2 degrees separated from somebody in the hobby who's a criminal, who's done some shitty stuff, and we just don't know it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many shady people that I'm like, what? He did that? He's involved in this?
I mean, all the companies, they're run by shady people, or they've done shady things in the past, and they're the hobby hero. What?
I'm just looking at that video you shared. She really does have her tits out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Check out Naked Bakers. Check out Naked Bakers.
Oh, hilarious.
Naked Bakers on YouTube, man. They're delicious recipes. Delicious recipes.
Oh, that's too much. So, hey, Hobby, what's your take on Jeff? Because you've been quiet.
Yeah, she's a PSA 7 anyway.
She's
better.
Strong
love
4
that
on my
analogy.
side.
Man, I was being generous. I should have said 6.
Solid
Hard
4.
the corners.
All right, so
Hobby's going.
Jeff. Okay, so
He's
I think the biggest issue that I have with Jeff is that he does know that some of these people are 2-3 degrees away from being a criminal, and he stands next to them anyway.
Yeah.
The biggest issue I have with his content, though, is that he is in a position, like if I was sound advice, Jeff, if you watch this video, pivot. Get out of what you're doing now and start to pivot. Stop giving advice on, and stop using the word investments, and stop giving advice on what to buy. If you stop doing those two things, I am certain that there are people that are going to start looking at you in a different light, but you also have to move away from these morons that you're around. It's not a good look, bro. It's not a good look when you have exactly what he was just saying here about Jason trimming the card, and then here you are sitting down and doing a 90-minute interview with him. It starts to make people look at you like you're one of them. And if you're not one of them, you need to start building distance between yourself, because it goes back to the same thing that I was saying to Raul earlier. If you're that good at what you do, people are going to want to align themselves with you. You do not need to align yourselves with people, because you're aligning yourselves with the wrong people. You have people like myself who do have a sense of respect for you in one light or another, as a father, as a human being, but as a content creator, no bueno, my man. It's not good. You have to, when you're getting out here and you're botching names and you're botching teams, you start to make people feel like you don't know what it is that you're talking about, and you're losing credibility with the people that do watch you. So if I had to just give Jeff a piece of advice overall, it's pivot away from it. Do a podcast, interview people, stay away from the people that we know.
He did start a podcast.
That's what I'm saying. He's starting to make the right moves now, and he's starting to pivot. But the biggest thing that I think he needs to stop doing is stop aligning yourself. It's the same thing that we see these other people doing. Stop aligning yourself with these people.
Yeah, but I think
I could be sitting here having this conversation with you guys right now, and I guarantee you, if you guys see me in 2 photos with Ken Golden in 7 days, you're going to be hitting me up in my DMs like, bro, what are you doing? It's a guarantee. So it's like you have to, if you want credibility and you want people to leave you alone and start to look at you like you're a little more credible, move away from the people that aren't credible, that are causing problems, that are bad influences on the hobby, that are doing bad things, that are trimming cards, that are out here saying, walking up to girls and be like, hey, you sleep with me on camera? Like, that's the goofy shit that you're doing.
Yeah,
so we're looking at you like you're just as goofy, man. That's how it's going.
So
I commend him. I think he's very, very well spoken. I think that he has a good presentation with everything that he does. I think that he's a tremendous dad. I think those are all different areas to humanize him outside of what we're talking about right now. But as far as like him being a presence on the internet and giving advice for sports cards, and you got to stop doing it. You got to stop doing it. You got to pivot away from it. Be creative in a totally different direction in 2023. Stop doing what you were doing last year and the year before.
So let me just say something real quickly. One thing in his defense, right? So he puts up what the sales are and says these are the top 5 selling cards based on data and eBay, right? Card Ladder puts up, here are the market caps of cards, and here's which one's up on the ladder. Why doesn't Card Ladder take more heat than Market Movers? That's what I don't understand. Like all these channels who want to go hate on Jeff that he's pushing numbers, he doesn't have, also Card Ladder predicts values, has predictive scores. Why aren't people more critical of Card Ladder?
Because Card Ladder has a lot of people in their camp.
Exactly. And I'll put it this way.
They give free subscriptions.
When it comes to data tools in general, there's so many out there. In fact, the tool I use the most right now is Center Stage, right? Because I scan the card real quickly. I get a snapshot of what the eBay last sold is, and that's what I want to know. And then I figure out what my decision is. Right? But there's so many data tools out there. Like, in fact, and think about what Jeff did. Jeff came into a market that had dead on data. We've all been using eBay, but there's no data tool. The last thing we used was freaking Beckett's price guide book. And he makes a data tool, and now there's 50 different data tools out in the marketplace today.
Yeah, but respectfully though, his data tool, right? Me being a software guy, the same way that you are, his data tool is nothing but pulling. At that time when he was doing it in 2020, it was just pulling numbers from eBay.
Yeah,
and putting it into a different interface that he.
I know, but I can at least verify. Like that's what I like is I can at least verify. Like if I saw it in Market Movers, I can go find an eBay. What I don't like about Card Ladder, you see it in Card Ladder, you can't find it in eBay. They can tell you it's a private sale. Like Card Ladder is the worst fucking data tool out there and the shadiest one. Again, it predicts the value of a card. It has a ladder score that changes based on two guys who made it themselves. Who, by the way, here's another thing I don't like about them. They both were on Jeff's channel months before they launch a competing channel. They deliberately went on his channel to get subscribers and then go launch attacks against him. For a market, they're the shadiest company. And these guys using Card Ladder. Card Ladder, again, predictive scoring, market caps. These are things that don't exist.
Right.
Do you
Data
think
that you can falsify.
porn?
I'll put it this way. They're friendly with card porn. Yes. Because they've been very friendly with card porn.
Hobby, what do you think?
They did the break the national with card porn.
That's
why I tied them.
I think that, this is me. I think that card porn, I've said this in the past, the card porn account was sold. That's my firm belief.
I agree.
Card porn account was sold, and it was sold, when was it? 2022, 21. 2021, around June or July is when it got sold. The content started to change around January of 22. So when you started to see a shift in the content, a shift in the way it was worded, shift in everything. And now this is what I'm going to say to you about why I believe that account belongs to someone at PSA. I won't say who. I'm sure that you guys know who I'm talking about. But I think that account belongs to them. And the reason why I'm going to say so is because of the way that the content changed. It wasn't what they were posting. The way that they were responding to things, the way that things are being worded, the way that all that was happening, the way that you, Raul, made a video and all of a sudden they're dragging you in their story. That's never been done before.
I agree.
Never been done before. And they made it a point to tell you that your microphone is small, but your microphone, I told you, is not small because it's big enough that it's bothering them. Okay? So when you go back and you start to look at who were the two companies that they weren't highlighting at all for anything negative. Golden Auctions
and
PSA. Nothing was being highlighted until you, Raul, and Dan the Cardman, and everybody else started pushing on those certain cards, and then they had to acknowledge it, and then within 24, 48 hours, that person comes out and acknowledges it as well, that it was their card, and here it is, and it's getting swapped out, and blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing I said when Ken did the break with Lala, the Marvel break, right? Not even 2 hours later, it's posted to card porn. Since when? It's never happened.
Yeah,
Never
and
happened.
you notice that they always promote certain people, like Hannah from She Collects Cards. Like she's on there a lot now, she works for them.
It's all PSA people that are tied, paid partnerships or sponsorships. It's all people that are tied directly to PSA in one form or another. So because just by process of elimination, I believe that card account was sold, and I believe that it belongs to somebody that sits in an executive chair somewhere. I'll put it like that. That's where I think is going on now. because the person that used to own the account would never, I'm not nothing against you or me or anybody else here, never would have entertained us. Not at all. Doesn't give a shit. That's the person that used to own the account.
And then I also remember when that card care thing was going on, and it was me and Sports Card Radio. We blew that story up, and they never mentioned me my name or Sports Card Radio's name. So I'm thinking, wait, you mentioned all these other influencers, but then they asked to clean cards or not to clean cards, but they didn't put my video. So I'm like, okay, I see what's going on.
Because they're already paying attention. They already were on the listen. If you want to put like a stamp on it when everything went fucking haywire with card porn, it's when I started all the story shit. Everything started getting crazy back in November. Everybody was already covering it before that, but once I started doing that, it was like cat's out of the bag, guys. This is who it is. This is what's going on. This, that, blah, blah, blah. Why would Ken Golden? I've never had an actual interaction with Ken Golden, only one time through direct message. And it was back in the middle of 2020 when he offered me a job. Okay. And I told him no, right? Because I have a career, obviously. But why block me? For what? Because I said you're going to end up on American Greed? Because you are? Why block me? And it just so happens that as soon as Ken blocked me, I just want to throw this out there so everybody is aware of this. As soon as Ken Golden blocked me, I was instantly blocked by card porn. So what does that tell you? Instantly, not 10 minutes later, not a day later, not an hour later, at the same time. So you got to take it how you got to take it how you got to take it, man. I can tell you now, the person that's in control of the account, I'll just say it. It's either Ken Golden or it's Nat Turner. That's in control of that actual account. If I had to put the money on it, I'm going to say one of those two gentlemen is in control of that account, has the passwords. Whether they're posting or answering, don't know, but they have the passwords to the account.
How much do you think they paid for the account, and what do you think it's worth?
Oh, Ziggy's there.
Ziggy's there.
I could tell you that they had to have paid a pretty hefty price for it, but not that much because card porn still went on to sell. Something's up with that. I can tell you that now. Something's up with him selling those items because I don't know of anybody, and I'm just going to be real. I don't know of anybody that would sell all 4 Beatles signatures on a photo like that.
Can you buy a YouTube channel?
Of course, I could sell my Instagram.
Transfer it, but can you transfer it over? Like I'm thinking, Comeback Card Investor, right? Has 20,000 subscribers, and he's not doing anything anymore. Can I buy his channel? Move it over.
Yeah, I have the ability to monetize my channel on Instagram. If somebody offered me money tomorrow, I could sell it to them. All they have to do is change the name and change the password. It's done.
That's
they
true.
Can start making
it's
money.
linked to like a Gmail.
Hold on. He's got 20K subs.
I don't know, somewhere around there. He's got a lot. Like it's 17,000, something ridiculous.
I'll check.
Shit, for what?
He was hot back in the
He's
pandemic.
very good with his marketing and his algorithm.
But he's a flipper. Like he's transparent about it.
Yeah, he just was in the hobby and enjoyed it. I mean, he's an actor who was bored at home.
Yeah, he's about 20,000. Yeah, 19.7.
The other one that I'd buy is the Hobby Box, which is he renamed his channel. He's got like 6,000 subscribers.
Oh, the Hobby Box is still around?
He is, but he changed his channel. He was doing a weight loss thing.
Yeah, I forgot his name. It was like Lou or something.
And then you see that PSA collector came back. How did he get his name back?
Yeah. So here, I got it. He used to be Graded Card Investor
because he had
went
to.
From PSA to Graded, and then he went back to PSA.
You know why he went back to PSA Collector?
Well, PSA stopped him. So in other words, PSA had to allow him to come back.
Right. Yeah. There you go. I was just getting ready to tell you. They probably told him, here, we'll give you the name back, and we'll pay you. He's going to be.
He talked about it in a lawsuit thing. He got the paperwork. If he still had the video out there, Ziggs, when he went from Graded Card, he changed his name because he was going by PSA Collector. It's just like Hobby said. Now they're like, oh yeah, you got to get the name out there and whatnot. That's probably why he's back. Exactly.
And because he was the bomb
honest with you too. Matt really Matt over at PSA Collector, Graded Card Investor. However you want to put it. Yeah. Matt has a really good channel.
He does.
He really does. Really good at his content, dude. He's very good at what he does.
He's not. But he also was not like there was an interview he did where he just did it because he enjoyed it. He's not it's a professional.
Yeah,
I wouldn't consider him to be an influencer.
Absolutely not.
at all.
Did you see his drunk
somebody
video?
that I think just enjoys what he does and has a channel,
Yeah.
and that's that.
What-
He's not out
what he-
here. Hey, go buy this, go buy that,
Yeah.
go buy. It's
He's done like, hey, here are some low-end trading cards. Here's some low-end LeBron cards. Hey, here's the top. He did a top 50 of retro football cards, right?
Did you
And
see
this is
his-
with baseball?
Do you see his crossover he did with Alex and Hobbybox?
I haven't seen that one.
Leola?
Was it recent?
Well, no, this is back in 2020 because the thing was he had the most subs than anybody else in the
yeah,
like,
he
was
really
like,
did, dude.
he was
Yeah.
way ahead of everybody. Okay, and he did a
Yeah.
collaboration with Les Alex and the Hobbybox, and I'm telling you, dude, overnight both those channels broke 1,000 subscribers. So then everybody wanted to be on him. In fact, I reached out to him. He ignored me. He was on another channel, had another girl on his channel, Leola, and she went to 1,000 subs. So he was
I remember
basically
her.
going around endorsing people.
See-
And then at the same time, House of Jordan was trying to break 1,000 subs. And Christina did a
channel-
thing with him, did an interview with him, and then they broke 1,000 subs. But he
His
was the main
channel-
influencer.
His channel started to slide off a little bit when he started to do the videos with his wife.
Yep.
Yeah.
His views started dropping. And then he kind of disappeared. And now all this, I just realized just maybe within the last week or two that he went back to PSA Collector. Tells me that they gave him the okay and probably gave him some money. They're probably, they're going to work the angle now because I think that they see that he actually has more potential than a lot of these people, man, as far as giving the information and doing that type of shit. Because during the pandemic, during the middle of 2020, his channel was like booming.
He would
Yeah,
do this
Big
all the
time
time.
booming.
Bang.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yep.
Bang.
He really is an OG.
Low
Raul and I were
hanging
talking
fruit,
about that.
man.
Yep. He had really good stuff. And you guys are right. Like he was so big back in I watched him religiously, and then all of a sudden you see these influencers come out of nowhere. I was like, that's
Well, I
really
think if
good
you
time.
search how to grade the PSA, I think his video is the top video. So
Oh, he was spot on. Completely accurate.
And that's the thing, bro. It's like when we're looking at all these accounts now, right? 20,000, 30,000, 13,000 followers. I remember when all of these accounts were nothing.
Yeah.
On Instagram. We're talking a few hundred or maybe 1,000. Like, really, we've watched a lot of people grow over the last 3 years. That's what I'm saying. It's like this
Do you
community
think
it's not that big. We all are kind of familiar with each other in one way or another. We've either heard the name, we've watched a clip, something. So
I would think it's like 3 degrees of separation
Yeah.
between you and
for
the
sure.
other people in the hobby that you've probably done a deal with somebody 3 degrees away from somebody else.
for sure.
Do you think it's all organic growth from these guys, or just someone just propping them?
So
up?
I can tell you now from the people that I've been watching over the last 3 years, a majority of them is organic, slow organic growth.
Well, I
A
also
lot
think
of it.
it's I think
And you
sports
also
cards
have
are
to
transient.
remember that in 2020, like me, for instance, I was getting a lot more momentum during 2020 than I am now as far as posts or likes or comments or this or that, because more people were home, more people were on their phone. There wasn't less to do or whatever, as opposed to now where it's like way more DMing, way more story responses, way more story views. Like for me on my Instagram, my stories is my bread and butter with people. That's how I keep engaged with people. I put up a story, they respond to it, they DM, they this, that. But for me, it's been all organic growth watching people. There's only a handful of people that I can tell you that they had a few hundred subscribers and then all of a sudden they had 80,000 the next day. There's a few of them out there, like Talon Sports Card Media, whatever the hell his name is, him, the guys over at DAPS Sports, that came out of nowhere. Like after they did the video with Michael Rubin, all of a sudden it was like, boom.
Did Curator? Do you think Curator bought his subs?
I do. I'll tell you why I think that,
do
guys.
too.
If you follow, remember EDI? I think it's EDI Sports. They were mentioned in Sports Card Radio, okay? And the guy got 500 subs, and I followed his channel. He has not moved very much from 500 subs since then, okay? So he has one big hit. At the same time, you watch DAPS and Curator jumping like 20, 30, 40,000. I'm like, where are these new ones coming? Like those jumps aren't happening today like they used to. Like you're not seeing the same effect that you used to have in the past.
I think the easiest way to look at it is when you go to these, challenge you guys to do this. When you go to these pages like Curator, right? Go to Curator. See how many friends you have in common.
Yep.
It's not thousands.
Mutual.
It's not
That's true.
tens of thousands. It's usually like in the high hundreds or the low thousands. It's not like I have 13,000 followers. Curator's got I don't know how many. I bet you we don't have 7,000 people in common. So something
Doesn't
there.
judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely.
When you and your block list is bigger than your follow list.
That was the quote of the night. That goes on a T-shirt.
Like, I think that's why he can't unblock me. He can't find me in his block list. He's like, Ziggy, where are you? I got too many people on the
There's just
Z's.
too many trolls. There's too much negativity. I can't do this.
I think his view count is down compared to, he used to get so many views on YouTube. I mean, everyone's views are down, but like him, I think he blocks so many people.
There's also a hater views. There's a lot of channels I watch.
Either that or there's so many people watching our content that they're starting to look at him and giggle.
Yeah,
pointing shit too. You know what I mean? Like
that's why that's why you see the minions and trolls in the earlier comments. That you don't see as much minions. Have you noticed that?
We're all minions for Sports Card Radio.
So how many of you guys are going to the national?
I'm probably going to go for a few days.
I'll be there.
It's closer to Row.
Yeah, I'll probably be there.
I won't be there. I'm working.
LT, what the fuck?
Bro, I'm still serving my country. You know this? In 2 years when I retire, Ziggs, in 2 years when I retire, you'll see a lot more of me.
And I understand. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand. Trust me. I appreciate people who can go. So if you can't, I understand.
But
I want to go.
I want to go.
When you retire, it's steaks and scotch on me. I'm coming out to Cali.
Hey, we talked about it, Ziggs. What
part of Cali? You're in SoCal, right?
I'm in SoCal. So I told you we have a good region here because Ziggs, you're kind of part of our little rat pack here, right? Because we're kind of the we're kind of the, I don't know the rejects, but kind of the bad boys, right? But we all cover different regions, right? Because we got East Coast with Hobby, we got the Midwest. Ziggs, you're in the East Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm DC. Yep.
And then Raul and Steve is over in the Midwest, and I'm in SoCal, and I get some of the NorCal one, right? But like I said, so get this, Ziggs. Burbank Card Show that was actually in Ontario, which is 1 hour away. These guys had a nice giggle about it, right?
Yeah. I've flown from Ontario to LA.
I shit you not, Ziggs. To rent a table there, it was $600.
I heard that.
$600 to get a table.
$600.
$600. So you need to sell one slab to make your sales back.
Was it? How many days was the show?
3.
Which I will say, I heard though that's kind of that. I heard that wasn't too bad. I don't know. Like somebody told me
it
that
was a good show.
You say it's 3 days. See, I was under the impression it was a 1 day.
Yeah, it's
show.
a Friday. They're deeming it as the National of the West Coast. There's also one coming up in Anaheim.
I would say that's the question. Is this one is supposed to be a springboard to the next?
This is going to be a big one because this is over by Disneyland, and if you guys come out there, I'll be out there drinking with you guys because I'll be at that one.
I mean, I'll be honest. I would like to if I could make it out there, but I won't deliberately come out just for the sports car. Like if I have business in the area and I can get out there, I'll get out there because I'd be curious.
Hey Ziggs, I got a question because I asked the guys here this, and I can't wait to hear your take on this because we have our little side conversations. These influencers, because we're all working men. We have bills to pay. We have kids. We have families. Do you think these influencers make enough on their overhead, on sport cards and the content to pay for all their bills, or are they getting money from the big boys up there to do all this content and travel? Stay at hotels and everything.
I don't think they make as much money. In fact, the only ones I think you could make money off this are probably Jeff. I mean, when you think of the big channels, and Pac-Man is the only ones I think are making enough money off of their influence that they can make it a full-time job. Do you know what I'm saying? I just don't think the other ones are. And I think that's part of the problem is too. Like if you look at someone like Lucas Tigers and Bronze, they have to get influence in to keep things going, and they're not even full-time. But you can tell they're trying to, right? Even like Jeremy getting involved in tag. I think at some point he's like, well, I'm going to be doing this because here's the reality. We all report back, or many of us report back to a CEO who goes, what the fuck are you spending 3 hours on YouTube for?
Yep.
And you say, well, I'm building a channel because we're going to monetize and I'm going to get, there's something going on. And I'll tell you this too. I don't mean this in a negative way. If a woman is involved, you are much more likely there's monetization going on.
100%.
Women aren't going to waste their time with you.
Women of the hobby.
And I mean that in a nice way. If you're a couple, there's money being made because the woman sees value in it. She's supporting the husband, but there's money. It's a business there too.
Hey, shout out to one of my favorite storytellers and content
I'm
creators.
offended.
That's great behind the scenes. AG to OG. Hi, AG.
I thought you couldn't be offended, Steve.
I'm always
Steve, we have a safe space for you, Steve.
I've been triggered since we started.
Oh, I would love to come out to SoCal though for the Anaheim one. Do they have the dates on that yet?
I don't know if the dates are out, but I'll let you guys know for sure.
And I'll tell you, to me, here are the things I like about shows: autographs, and corporate giveaway crap. That's what I like. And they're going to have corporate giveaway crap in Anaheim. They have corporate giveaway crap at the
That's
National.
true.
They have autographs at Chantilly.
You know what I like doing at these big shows? I put in good music and I put one earbud in and I have the other earbud and I just like roaming. I like people watching and I like looking at cases. It's like my getaway almost. That's what I enjoy.
Do you have someone recording you? Do you have your own videographer?
What?
I'm joking with you, bro.
You could have a drone following him.
You don't have a video guy?
I got
A video guy
selfie,
following you?
I got my selfie stick out. I take my shirt off and dance in between the aisles. I do all that.
Like Seabluz.
Listen,
Hey, Ziggs. You'll
me
be
and
interested to hear
Seabluz
this.
can have a dance off. Listen,
So,
me and
him and
Seabluz can have a
Santiago.
dance off, and I'll play him one-on-one, and I'll win both. And I'll shake his hand and hug him after.
Is he gonna try to box you?
Don't throw the basketball at him, man.
I'd box him too for fun, but like he'd lose that too. But again, after I would hug him and we would be cool. We could probably have a beer after.
You know, I'm going to go back to is it Santiano's question here?
Yeah.
I don't know who watches Pac-Man. I used to watch him. I don't watch him anymore. Back
I
in
don't
the
either.
day, like
You
way
did-
back in the day.
Ziggy,
Like,
when
we're
you say
talking 2006.
Pac-Man, when you say Pac-Man, who do you mean, bro?
The guy, I
It's
think
Pac-Man
it's Pac-Man
card.
channel. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Asian guy. So back in the day, like 2015,
Okay.
16,
I know who
He
you are.
would-
Peter.
what
He
I used
does
to
Peter
love-
Pac-Man.
he used to do. Oh, you're right. There's the other Pac-Man. He used
Shout
to
out
do.
to Peter Pac-Man too. Go
he
ahead,
would do-
continue.
He would do first off the line, and I would buy first off the line, and Pac-Man would open first off the line, and I loved it. In fact, the only reason I didn't was I was living on a DSL line, so I would upload mine to Facebook, and he was uploading his to YouTube. But I've been following him back in the day. What I don't like is when he started getting sponsored, I didn't like it anymore because I felt like before it was him spending his own money, and you felt his pain. When you knew it wasn't his money anymore, you didn't feel pain anymore. That's what I don't like. You know what I'm saying? When you're opening a box that some sponsor gave you, you're not feeling the same pain I feel as a collector when I open a box. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Facts.
Yep. Oh man. What is it?
And his channel, I think he's the number one in subscribers. He's ahead of Sports Card Investor. He gets tons of
What?
sponsorships. I think so. Pac-Man.
No, I believe it.
So
Man, I
Canton
didn't
Card
realize he was that
Collector.
big.
Canton Card Collector commented Pac-Man was big in the sneakerhead stuff, and that's something I wanted to say earlier. Is that's one thing that I noticed is that in this card market, in the 2020 card market anyway, we had a lot of people that were transitioning over to the
Yep.
card for a
Yep.
little while.
Yep.
And making
I heard
those,
Roth Cards is this. He's a sneaker guy.
Rothkard is into water guns. If you look at his older videos,
Are sneakers
What?
still a thing? Like, can you
Water
still make
guns? What do
money?
you mean water guns? Is that a
water
joke?
gun fights. Look at
That's
his
right.
look at his YouTube channel, and
Ah,
you'll see.
no, I'm not a
He's
beta. I'm not-
got the guns, right, Steve?
I got a
Are,
little
they,
bit.
are these co-ed water gun fights?
These ain't water guns though. They're
Are sneakers still? Are they still big? Do
I don't
sneakers?
know.
Do you guys know? Do sneakers still sell?
oh yeah, I
Yeah,
guarantee you.
sneakers are definitely selling because I scan through the Whatnot app every now and then, and sneakers and coins are like the two really big things on that Whatnot app.
So Panini still has their sneaker collaboration on their website, dude, which blows my mind. Which they did the Prism AI, and Reebok. I guess Reebok was the wrong company, but whatever they are, they still have theirs. And again, I'm not a sneaker fan, but I applaud them for at least making the effort and doing something like that. But they're still available.
Well, my problem is all these sneakerheads that came in because of Gary Vee.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. You're right.
I like it's not personal. It's just the idea that we got an influx of flippers.
Well, part of it-
Golden's in the house.
Gary
Oh.
is over here in Jersey, man. I gotta set the fight up, man. You two gotta scrap it out already. That's it. We'll go knock on his door and let him know.
Crooked Golden. That's a great account.
Yeah.
There's also a
The
fake
guy
Jeff
with the
Wilson
biggest
one
guns in
too.
the hobby is gonna bust your ass, man.
So in 2020, we got the sneakerheads coming in, and we had all these money laundering folks come in. Quite interesting.
Huh? Was that a coincidence?
Yeah.
Bro, when you have a
It-
platform the size of Gary Vee, and you have that type of reach and influence in the demographic, which was young guys, like what came into the hobby during the boom? Bunch of young men, sneaker flippers, like guys like that.
But
Well,
you had
they
stimulus money
They
too.
all beat off. Listen, they all beat off to Gary Vee's Just go out and fucking do it. Fucking hustle. Fucking fuck. And like they're just listen. This is a group of young men that are they're directionless. In a way, they're vulnerable. They're easily influenced. They're a part of the TikTok quick content generation. And like I'm not blaming them, but it's just a consequence that the hobby's going to have to deal with.
So I don't like I said, I didn't follow Gary Vee before sports cards, but to me, he's really just echoing other people. You know, other people said like, and the one thing he said, and this is what I remember, like, wasn't Robert Kiyosaki who was the one who like, go find your side hustle? And I think like Gary Vee's basically echoing, because that's what he said to kids. He wasn't like, go flip cards. It's like, go make money, whether it was like create a YouTube channel or create an Instagram channel or flip cards or flip mugs at the, Goodwill or whatever. It's just go find a side hustle.
Just
and
go
sports
to
cards are an easy one.
Sale and buy everything up and then re-fucking sell it. And live in your mom's basement, save on rent. And you can fucking do it.
And then sell it to your friend, right? Basically build your own pyramid from the bottom up.
Then after a 17-minute recorded interview, now everybody's going to be like, look, Gary Vee held through the book. He's a genius.
His best message was simply,
I just can't stand that shit.
He would sit there and go, tell your mom you don't have to go to college. Tell your mom you can learn this way.
Fuck you. You're a fucking bitch. I know what I'm doing. But you're living in mama's basement off her rent. Like, shut the fuck up. It's like,
hey, Zig, you know Mojo's moving. You guys know I told you guys Mojo's moving to LA, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he announced it. Right? He announced it a couple of days ago. I think he's going to work he's going to work for Burbank.
He's an interesting character.
I don't know too much history. Raul and I have talked about it, but do you remember when SCR radio came out?
Yeah. I mean, they got him on the autograph thing. Like I said, the thing that I think is so interesting, he does do repacks, which I can't stand. I don't know if he does them free or not. He's kind of weird about it. And then, like I said, one time I saw him open a box with a kid, and at the end of the box, like, and you get to have the box. But it was almost like he waited for the box to open and make sure all the cards sucked before he's like, you can have the box. So I don't know. Like, I think you just tell the kid the box is his and let the kid decide. Maybe he didn't want to open it. Maybe he wants to flip it,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw P. Ryan's story yesterday, but he didn't mention Mojo by name, but it was obvious he was talking about him. And he basically said that, like, okay, I had to block this dude because this dude is talking about moving out of his mom's basement, basically. And it's like, well, why are you celebrating that? I'm like, wow.
Bro, that's
like, holy crap, that's hilarious.
What's so bad about these guys under 30 that are doing content and shit? It's so beta, dude. I just can't take it. It makes me sick to my stomach seeing grown men that are doing this stuff, and it's like, who the fuck do you think you are, man? Like, you're holding up a jersey because you're moving out of your mother's basement? What is wrong with you?
Well, here's the thing. When you become
remember
the
narcissism. Think about the narcissism that goes behind that. You have to sit there and think, I'm going to make a jersey. I'm going to do all this shit. And I'm going to write this whole paragraph talking about me moving out of my mama's house. And it's like, you know what? If you didn't do that on social media, good for you, bro. Like, in all honesty, God bless you. I wish you nothing but success. But like, the minute you get on TikTok and social media, it's like, beta. I can't do it. It just turns total beta. And I'm sorry, it's feminine. That's what women do for attention. We're men. Get into your masculine. Go do some fucking push-ups and like better yourself instead of posting a jerk. Look, I'm moving out. Oh, it's finally happening. You know, his parents are like, fucking thank God it's about time. Like, Jesus Christ.
I was just thinking that, like a great parody video would be to do the parents of. We're celebrating.
So here's the hard question.
We're turning the basement's been filled with sports cards into a wine room. I can't wait to get these goddamn sports cards out of here. I'm bringing wine in. My kid's finally getting out.
There you go, Ziggy. Do the one of the parents fucking celebrating, getting their overgrown felon kid out of the fucking house.
So here's the question. I think I asked these guys probably a week or two ago. How long do you think these influencers are going to last and stay relevant? And then can you put this on your resume and go to a Fortune 500 company? You guys know I've used this analogy.
Yeah.
What do you guys think with the influencers?
Of course you can.
Yes. So sticking
Of course
around.
you can. I'm sorry, LT, in this generation, you can fucking say anything and get away with it.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not
yeah,
gonna
let's
hurt them.
read this comment.
Like you probably can.
In fact, it wouldn't surprise you if DAPS is a senator in the future and he looks back to the time he started his YouTube channel selling sports cards.
And then he says, "Oh yeah," and
he said-
after he goes to sleep around.
Yeah, he's in some scandal where we're like, I remember when he was selling sports cards. I never saw this coming.
Yeah.
Okay, LT, I want to read this comment to you. Cardboard Cornerstone says, "I don't want to be like you guys when I get older. You got to embrace the youth, their future. You guys are entertaining, but it's sad though. Laugh out loud."
You know why you think this is sad? Because you probably live at mama's house and you don't pay fucking taxes.
Yep.
When you start doing that shit, then you'll have a total different outlook on life.
Talk to me. Put sports card influencer
And
on your resume.
You, cardboard. Nothing against you, cardboard.
Just put it on your resume.
Like, the fact that you said when I get older, that's the entire. That says it all to me in that comment.
Well,
when you're an adult male and you have responsibility and family and shit to take care of, you don't have time for this. I'm going to be youthful and beta, and it's just going to be okay. And then I'm going to post it all over social media.
Let me say something. Cardboard. I'm a 20-year military veteran, about to retire in 2 years. I just got my MBA from Syracuse University. I'm going to have a retirement in 2 years. Probably some disability. I'm going to have a 6-figure job at 40 years old. But my other guys here, they have illustrious careers too. We can sit here and do this because guess what? We're not puppets. We don't have to do this for a living.
No.
Drop the mic.
Yeah, thank you, LT. We're not based off of sponsorships and we're not doing cards full time. Like, you're not at our perspective, which is fair. If you're a young guy, which is totally fair. But the idea that you think it's sad, it just shows you that kind of the ignorance that you're coming from.
I own a mortgage too. The bank owns my house, but it's doubled in value.
We all got mortgages and shit.
My house doubled in value.
I consider myself still very young, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
You look good, Zig.
I mean,
Zig,
you too, Hobby.
You look fantastic.
Hey, Hobby Shark.
This is all hair dye.
We got a Shine 150 in the chat.
Years old. I hate kids. I tell them to get off my fucking lawn.
Hey, I'm gonna put it like
yo,
this.
Hobby Shark, come at me, bro.
I don't know if this is really Shine, but Shine, if
It's
this
not.
is you, you can come pull up, baby.
And
We have a
then
little powwow one-on-one.
That looks like Teapot a little bit. I know it's
Might
not
have
Teapot. but-
Teapot's blocked me.
It might be.
Why would he block? I will tell you, I thought he
blocked.
blocked me too. Are you
Hey,
hitting the right
Charles.
account?
Hey, Charles, let's free Andrew Tate. And yes, I saw your comment earlier. I've been making pickups. I'd go show him to you, but I've been picking up KDs. Not because he moved to Phoenix. I've been doing it beforehand. But I like Charles. Charles always chimes into the chat, so shout out Charles.
I do look like
guys.
a good 81. I mean, if for 81, I'm looking damn good.
Oh, Charles, you just fucked it up. You called Ziggy 81. Shout out. Fuck you. You can't do that.
Strong 81.
I used to tell people that. I'd be like, man, I'm 63 years old. They'd be like, for real, you look good for 63. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm 37. What's wrong with you?
It's all right, Cardboard. I still serve my country. Can you say the same thing?
Do you know those
I'm
shirts?
Still, I'm still serving, Cardboard. Just remember.
You guys sound lame.
Yeah, you know the thing is,
Flippers are making money and they're keeping
the
vibrant.
military.
What the fuck is keeping you vibrant? What the fuck does that even mean?
so the thing is,
It's comical to me.
the thing is, what I find interesting is people get pissed off, when we speak our mind.
Yeah, dude. Why don't
I
you
mean,
go
like,
on
we're
Jeff
not
Wilson
puppets.
and
We're
figure
not
out
getting
what 5
paid.
fucking cards to buy. Why don't you go do that? Go listen to that.
Why are you so triggered that you have to go in there and say a bunch of grown men? Like, come on, dude.
I mean,
bro.
Those beta shit. Hobby, I know you got some more shit, bro.
I just, I'm just realizing like it's 1:30 on a Saturday, Cardboard, and you're here watching the grown men that you're talking about. I'm just saying.
Listen, this is what he's never been in a barbershop. He's never embraced actual barbershop talk. He's never lived that.
That's exactly what this is.
And that's what this is. And that's what it's so triggering to young guys because they've never experienced that shit where somebody looks at you and makes fun of your fucking height. They make fun of you because, whatever, your ethnicity. I'll be honest, the barbershops, they make fun of me because I'm Italian. That's the first thing that'll come out their mouth.
I will say, look, as a older person, I do remember when I was young, the worst thing I wanted to hear, dude, from people was talking about experience. It really was. Like, I remember being like 27 years old and I was working as a consultant And I looked and found out my billing rate, and I can only build at a certain amount. And I was like, well, why are you selling me this much versus that much? That's based on your experience. I'm like, fuck that, man. I'm super smart. I know X, Y, and Z. The reality, though, is experience does. You don't understand it till after time, man. So young people are going to look at it and they're going to discount it. So I give the story. Remember the story of the old bull and the young bull? Have you heard this?
Yep.
Right. It is such a critical story. The two bulls are sitting at the top of the hill, and the young bull looks down the hill, says, let's run down there and screw one of those cows. And the older bull says, no, let's walk down and we screw them all. And it's something that people don't understand. Like young people just aren't going to understand it. They're going to hear me lecture, and it will take them 10 years before that story resonates, and they go, shit, now I understand what he said.
Wait till you go work for a boss you hate to a 9-to-5 job.
Oh yeah,
and you have to go sit there and you have to go. You know what? Go clean the fucking bathroom. Why? Because I said so, motherfucker. Go and do one of those blue collar jobs and talk to me then. I know you guys have all done your share. I know
and you do it because it gives you this time outside of work. It's a time outside of work is why you do shit like that.
Worker, motherfucker.
Yeah. I'll say this: Cardboard Cornerstone. We made it, but I wish you nothing but success. I hope God blesses you. I hope nothing but good things come your way. In all honesty, I truly mean that. But we can disagree, and I can go on my little spouts and rants. But like in all honesty, I wish nothing but success. I truly do.
Yo, money is too short. Get more. Amen.
Hey, I appreciate you, Canton. I guess there's another veteran here. Appreciate
I'm wondering if Canton Card Collector. Did you go to Tozzi's today, Canton Card Collector? If you could talk about that. I was going to run up to Canton to that show today, but I wasn't able to.
I got to say, it's nice having Ziggs in here. I've never seen this side of Zig.
I'm sure Zig's probably hearing us. It's like,
dude, I watch you guys all the time, man, and I'm like, I gotta listen. I want to join these guys. So when I heard about tonight, I reached out. I was like, I want to join you guys tonight.
Hey, Raul is the calmest guy in here. How does Raul deal with us? That's what I want to know.
I just wish Raul would shut up. He's talking way too much.
I know.
Way too much.
Shut this live stream off, and he's like, "What the fuck do I keep getting myself into on the weekend?"
Hey, Cornerstone still got stuff, man. I love it. Keep going, Cornerstone.
I hope you don't, man. But
I'm loving it, Corner.
This is an example where life will experience will humble you. That's all I'll say.
This guy.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think he talked about like, why do you care about money laundering in the hobby? Let me go back to that comment.
Where are you from, bro? I need to know. Where do you live?
Wait, I missed it. What do we?
No, wait. He said, why does it matter if people are money laundering, though? Why do you feel like you have to single out those people?
Bro,
hey, Shine, this you.
That's what I said, bro.
What kind of dumb fucking comment is that? Why do you care about money laundering? Do you buy and sell cards in this hobby? Wouldn't you? I mean, what the fuck? Wrong.
Yeah, personally, I don't care about people laundering their money in cards. I really don't care. I bring it to attention because it's an unregulated industry that is going to allow for criminal activity like that, I guess. But I don't care.
And they're connected.
I care if it's connected and involved with auction houses. I do care if it's.
I tell you, here's what bothers me: the people back in 2020, Jeff is guilty of this, who were telling people to invest and tell people that people are investing. That's bullshit. No one ever came in and bought, 10,000 Luka Doncic's because there's so much corruption in this hobby. Yep. People invested in systems that extract from the hobby, right? People invested in platforms that sell, that take fees out, but no one invested in cards, so that's what I didn't like that.
My laundromat welcomes all. Cook again.
That's just be screenshotted right there.
Hey, Rahul.
Wash a card.
My laundromat welcomes all.
Rahul.
All slabs are welcome.
Go to 1033. You guys will love this one. Look at Cornerstone's last comment. Go to 1033.
Bro, you're entertaining, and I'll never mop floors, my man.
And that's why you're beta, because you never know what hard work is.
Well, that's also why you can be humble, dude. Because let me tell you this: I've been in some great places in my life, but I've also been in some poor ones, and it's time and experience. Yep. Like when I was young, I was very arrogant, man. Very arrogant.
Maybe we should.
Sickness could put you in the place and you don't know about. So you should just be cautious.
It's all good, my man. I'm on floors. I still make more money than you.
Yeah. Let's talk about where Shine's money originated.
Oh boy!
Shine's money originated with 8 balls and bricks. and his paperwork to show it. But the funny thing about the paperwork is that when he was sentenced in 2015, I believe, and he's already out. So what does that tell you?
Money talks. Money gets you
Nah, it
out.
tells me somebody's telling. That's what it tells me.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if it's money or mouth.
Somebody's doing a little bit of
That
telling.
money
Hey,
and
Ken,
mouth.
you better be careful, Ken, because he's gonna tell on your ass next. And Jeff, you better be careful because Ken gonna tell on you.
Patches O'Houlihan.
Everybody's gonna start playing Tattletale soon in 2023
Yep.
on the next episode of American Greed. Did you sell sports
We're
cards
still
in
at 49
2020?
watchers.
Oh man.
Still 49 people watching.
Yeah, still at this time.
I mean, I think the comments are great. I mean,
Yeah,
this,
they're great. But
this is where the trolls are coming.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, like you said earlier, LT, people talk crap, but they don't even want to come on and talk with us.
Yeah, guys, there's 49
I've
people
been
in there. Which one of you wants to come on here and chat with the 5 of us fine gentlemen?
Okay,
right now?
yeah, maybe maybe if one of you guys that have been crapping on us want to
Yeah.
come on, let's have
Speak
a
up.
talk.
Raise your hand.
Let's talk.
Let's have fun.
AIH_sports on Instagram. Just text me, DM me. Let's see if anyone wants to challenge.
Nobody's gonna come on.
No one's
No one's
come
gonna
on.
come on.
Nobody's
No.
gonna come on.
That dope sports guy, he left off. I think
Bro, I
he's
shut him out.
Yeah,
I
you
made
shut him
I made him
out.
cry, bro. I said, DM me, dude. I got Hobb as my corner guy. I was ready for it.
I
That
like
was
what
it.
Let's go.
Tino said. That's what the cornerstone guy's got to understand. Those dead end jobs do toughen you up.
They
Yeah, they
toughen the
do.
hell out of you,
When
man.
you go from the bottom up, you have a whole different perspective.
And that makes you a better leader. Why? Because
would
you
agree,
understand.
so. I would
what
agree.
people
So
have gone through.
if you're placed in leadership, it's different than when you've earned it and achieved it.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, I had to start out, I graduated in 2008 during the crash and no one was hiring. So I had to get paid $8 an hour. So
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
and during that time, that's how I got internships and then eventually higher paying jobs. So,
Yep.
Listen, man, work ethic is absolutely everything. Anybody that's looking for a free handout on anything, you guys are coming up in the wrong mindset. I can tell you that now.
yeah.
You guys can't even touch the 5 of us. You have no idea.
Wear as
This-
many
this-
hats. That's the only advice I could give to you, young men, is wear as many hats as possible. Learn as much as you can,
Yep.
and learn every single day. Learn something new so that
Yep.
you're able to teach. Become a teacher.
You know, the last on my Friday, I took care of my admin stuff for my job because I work full time for the military. And then I spent for the last 3-4 hours, I cleaned up my armory. And I got in there, I cleaned shitters, toilets, I did air beautification. Yeah, it fucking sucks. But guess what? These guys know exactly what it's about. You guys wouldn't even last a fucking day. That's all I'm saying.
Facts.
Is
Crooked-
Dick's gone?
He's probably there. Crooked Ken, I'd come on, but I'm mowing my golf course soon. 1:39 p.m. in Jersey.
Oh, man.
The best
Patches
time to mow your grass, man.
Patches says dope card is watching, afraid to say something.
He ain't say shit.
I wouldn't mess with LT. LT is a UFC fighter. And
I'm not a
military.
UFC fighter. Don't get that twisted.
Oh, okay, you
I am an MMA
train.
fighter. But yeah.
You train, right?
Yes, I'm an amateur fighter. Yes, but I'm not a boxer like the other good-looking gentleman up there. I think he's got the beard.
I think
Not
that's
Ziggy. Ziggy,
I'm
do you use the
fragile. No, I'm fragile.
my money's on. I don't know the other guy, but my money
Okay.
is on LT.
I got kids.
All right, last words before we wrap it up. Steve, what do you got to say?
I really appreciate you, gentlemen. This was a good time. It was a fun time. I appreciate the chat, even the people who were trolling and disagreed. God bless all y'all. I appreciate you.
Hobby.
We all going to hell except for Steve. Amen.
LT.
I love this card community. I appreciate you guys, and Ziggs, thanks so much for coming on, man. It was a lot of fun, and I hope we do this again.
Ziggy, last word.
I can't say enough, man. I echo everything you guys said. I had a really good time. I can't believe we spent 3 hours plus chatting
that's
about
crazy.
shit. It was fun. Hey, just be good to everybody. Be good.
Yeah, for sure. And last comment, I'll be waiting in hell for you all. Crooked Ken. All right, man. All right. All
PSA
right.
10s for everybody.
There you go.
There we go. Oh yeah, and maybe we'll have Dan the Cardman on next time we do this.
Oh,
I
I
man.
know it's
Man.
scheduled.
Six,
Oh,
that would be
awesome.
crazy.
6 of us.
Sure.
Oh man.
That would
Oh,
be
that would be
awesome.
nuts. That would be nuts. All right, all. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you another time.
All right,
See ya.
gentlemen.
All right, guys.
Bye,
See you guys.
Bye.